And what kind of player am I? Am I an offensive man or a defensive man? That's right, I'm neither. I play my opponent. If he likes to attack, I force him to defend himself. If he's a cautious man, I draw him into dangerous water. See, you get so frustrated playing defensive positions, you make stupid moves you never make if you were thinking. When you come here, boy, check that shit at the door,
I'm at the top of my game, cut the check. Somebody better king me, I'm the best. Let's play a game of checkers. Better yet, the game don't love nobody. Let's play chess.
I keep forgetting when I'm in love anymore. I keep forgetting.
Okay, I like your intro song right there. That's that.
I love it. Chess by Papoose. Papoose, one of my favorite rappers. So we're live, episode 21 of the Blue Collar Intellectual Podcast. My guest today is 2020 congressional candidate and prospective 2022 congressional candidate, Aja Smith. How are you doing?
How you doing? Just to let everybody know, I did also run in 2018. So.
Oh, you ran 2018 too.
Yeah.
See, I wasn't on it in 2018. I was trying to stay out of it. I was trying to stay out of everything. I'm like, you know what? It'll all work itself out. And then I saw things go sideways right before the election. I'm like, this is absolutely horrible. How did we get here?
Exactly. Well, we got here for many reasons.
Yeah, it's so. All right, I just sent the link right now. Just posted it. So it was
on Twitter.
Yeah.
All right.
It was just so damn bad. Watching it in 2018 and then watching us repeat the same mistakes in 2020. I'm sitting here going, do we really just like losing that bad that we're going to put this much effort into losing? Is this going to be our new slogan? Snatch defeat from the jaws of victory?
You know, it's really sad, and it gets to a point where you're like, the opposition tells us how to win, and we still lose. They can walk us through how to win. Like, here's our playbook, you know, and we still lose. It's like a really bad game of poker. It's like, well, here's all my cards, and I can still beat you if I show you both hands. But the problem is that it's they you know, and I won't say the whole party, but the majority in the party, they won't listen. They won't listen to the grassroots. They won't listen to minorities. They won't listen to new ideas. And even those who think they are grassroots, they still won't listen. And you know, 2018, or I could say 2016, 2018, and 2020, as we talk about on Twitter, us few of us, the grifter season. You know, it was like, okay, but what is your message? How are you going into the inner communities? Are you going to the minority communities? And you're just appeasing to something that you're just making $1 or $2 on the president's name. That's not what we're supposed to be doing. Now, if you want to make money, go ahead. I'm not going to knock your hustle. But at the same time, what did it get us? We lost a midterm. We definitely lost a presidential election, and, you know, barely got the Senate, and we lost the House. Now you see what's going on right now in Washington, D.C. So it's going to take a few of us that are like-minded, you, me, Jeff, and others, and other people that I know, that we're going to have to really come together and say, you know what, we've been in it and we see the problems and how to fix it. We're going to have to stand together and come together. We may not always agree, but we all agree on the messaging is not there to resonate and to get into the community. And I've been talking to other people about this, and I said, you know, I haven't officially announced yet. I know people have asked me. I tell them circle back. So that's my new thing right now. Circle back.
The press secretary. I love what Jeff said. A pimp named Circle Back.
Circle back. I like that. I like that. When I first saw her, I said, man, she reminds me of Jodie Foster. You know, when
she does, doesn't she?
She reminds me
like
of
young Jodie Foster too.
The Hannibal Lecter days. You know, it's like
back when that was, I think let's see. Jodie Foster had one movie that I thought she was actually hot. All the rest of her movies, I was like, God. And it was her worst. I think probably the worst accent she's ever done, and it was Maverick with Mel Gibson.
Oh yes.
She did a Southern accent, and I was like, "Oh Lord, please stop that!
He's
Please
like,
stop
stop,
that,
just
honey!
stop.
You overdid it. It was so bad." But it
But
was,
it's
I don't know.
but
It was
it's
like
to
that
a
old
point.
school film.
Right now I'm really just observing, and I'm taking a
Yeah,
lot of note, and I pray a lot, and I said, how can I make myself better as a candidate and to really break the barrier? I mean, of course, I am a Republican. I love the party's principles, but when it comes to
yeah,
messaging, I've been taking a lot of note. I've been
yeah,
observing and listening to everybody. And I said, how can we win without even the party helping us? And
yeah.
that's what we need to do. How can we raise and say, you know what? We've been doing this for like a long time. You have like Sunny, you have other people who've been doing this for
Hmm.
so long. How can you help us so we can get out there in the community? I know she lives on the other side of the country. I live over here. But I even told Jeff, we should all do a Zoom meeting. We should all say, we can't meet at one place, but we can at least start the conversation to move forward. And that's what my
Yeah.
vision is with if whenever I announce, I'll circle back. But those are my ideas for the next couple of months, because midterms is next year, so you have to start now. And that's the
Yeah,
problem with the party, is that they campaign the day of an election, and you
yeah,
can't do that. You can't do outreach the day of an election. Look what happened in Georgia. It's
yeah.
like that was an easy election,
The worst
but
part is
they
the
had a
runoff.
terrible candidate. They literally had a terrible candidate. And
Yeah,
I and it's to a point where we have to take the ball and run with it. And you and I are both military background. I've worked with different commanders. I've worked with laissez-faire commanders. I've worked with micromanager commanders, but their job is just to oversee. It was my job as to execute the
hmm,
mission and say I did it. And they're like,
yeah,
"Good job, Sergeant Smith. I did it." "Oh, you already did it?" Yeah, I gave it to you 5 minutes ago." "Oh, I did it 2 minutes ago. Here it is." And
yeah.
so bringing those different types of backgrounds to execute and to take the ball and run with it. Were you Air Force?
I was Marines.
So, Air Force, our three core values is integrity, service before self, and excellence in all you do. And so, of course, integrity is number one, but going above and beyond what you're being told. And so many people look at so-called leaders and representatives and wait for them to tell. It's like, no, we're individuals. We have a
Yeah,
mission here to go out and do it ourselves. Don't look for the president or House Speaker or even your congressional representative, even your city councilman to do something. It is up to
yeah,
you, because we are a republic. We are for the people, by the people. And if I see that something's not going right in my district, in my community, I'm going to go out there and just do it myself, whether I have the
yeah,
party support or not. And that's the problem. People wait until whoever's in the White House to do it. It's like, no, you should have been doing this 20, 30 years ago.
yeah. If you don't see somebody doing it, you don't see somebody stepping up and being a leader.
Correct.
If you don't see a leader, you need to be a leader.
Correct. We're
That
all
like if
leaders.
there's only, I mean, that's the only reason I had this argument with somebody, and he's like, "Nah, man, you're just trying to climb the ladder." I'm like, if I wanted to climb the ladder and make a buck, I could have easily slapped on a red hat and started talking, using some plantation talking points, and been a millionaire by now.
Right?
Hell, I probably could have committed felonies, would have had the whole damn establishment of the Blexit Turning Point shit friggin' copping for me too. But the problem is I didn't want to be involved in this shit. I will admit my disdain is for apathy, and I
Mhm.
stayed out of it because I was like, oh, there were people that were in it and they were going to do it, and I thought that I could leave it there until I realized no. this person's a grifter, that person's a crony, that person's a grifter, and that person's a crony. Shit, we got like maybe 5 people in the whole damn movement that are actually trying to be freaking honest about this shit.
Correct.
That are at the mainstream level that have a microphone. Everybody else is froze out. I mean, you even see how they treat, like, I'll say David Webb, Alex Marlowe, Andrew Wilkow. Those are like mainstream outsiders, what I'm going to say. They're mainstream outsiders. They got big voices, but they get froze out by the exact same establishment that we get froze out by.
Correct.
I'm like, the only difference is they were established before they became the outsiders. So they were already conservative, and then the party drifted left. And what I keep trying to iterate to people is we have failed to uphold our own principles.
Correct.
And we do not recognize the difference between principles of governance, conservative principles of governance, protecting the republic, full enfranchisement of the law, equal protection under the law, that whole live and let live government, limited government interaction and control with the daily lives of citizenry, fiscal responsibility, national security and borders. Those staunch, all right, look, we're supposed to, the government has 18 enumerated powers and we're supposed to stick to those. Unfortunately, we have too many conservatism that want sexy conservatism. They want conservatism to wear a nice lace outfit and a bow for Valentine's Day. And that's not it, because conservatism isn't sexy. It requires work and responsibility. It requires us to be out in our communities and engaging and solving problems. We can't always come crying to government, because government's not supposed to be the solution. It's supposed to stick to those 18 enumerated powers. So we've been lazy. And then I hear this morning that people are going, oh, well, yeah, we should overturn gay marriage. I'm like, so you're going to take a step back. So we're stepping back a decade now. What the hell is wrong with you? That was a losing issue for us then. It's a losing issue for us now. Precisely because it's a civil rights issue. It is none of my damn business what 2 consenting adults do. Marriage is governed by contract law. The U.S. government does not recognize religious practice as law. It is what it is. We were founded on religious freedom, on freedom of religion, not freedom from religion, freedom to practice whatever religion you want. That also means that the government cannot establish a religion and force you to be governed by a religion's tenets. Gay marriage, I don't care what you want to do. You want to marry your husband? That's fine. It doesn't affect me. It doesn't affect the government. There's no reason the government should have its hands in it. And I'm sitting here going, why are we taking a step back right now? We came so far. Trump didn't run on gay marriage. He didn't run on limiting rights for people that we see as morally wrong or sinful or whatever. It's
he was
not
actually supportive. He was supportive. Yeah. He said, I'm going to protect you, because he saw how other countries, they literally kill gay people. And so he pretty much, and I tell people, I followed Donald Trump for a very long time. I remember watching him on Oprah saying, if it gets bad enough, I'm that old. So when it gets bad enough, I'm going to run for president. And he did. But at the same time, nobody really studied him from a business aspect and how he saw things in a different light. And the thing is, nobody could figure him out, or he only knew how to play the game and tried to play the game. But at the same time, I think he had quite a few bad advisors around him because they wanted to ride on his coattails. And but we move forward. We take that and we make it our own and say we're still going to fight, especially when you talk about civil rights. This is Black History Month.
Yeah.
I love Black History Month, not because I embrace my culture and I like to talk about the different significance that we do, but I love to see the racists come out and start bashing Black History Month because I do receipts, and it's
Yeah.
not coming from the left. And I'm
No.
just going to leave it at that. And I love to show saying, how are you supposed to embrace? And you complained about um, Black community and Black voters always voting Democrat, but you're commenting saying Black history is racist. Why is it segregated? And why this? I had an argument with somebody I've known yesterday, and I had to, I had to really lay it down. I said, so, and they're Black. And I said, why are you making a big issue over Black History Month? Well, we should be kumbaya and all together. I said, so you have an issue with Hispanic and Latino Heritage Month or Native American Heritage Month? Heck, or do you have an issue with
Mhm.
Veterans Day? So I'm in Women's History Month. Why is it only our month that you and a lot of others have an
Yeah.
issue with? And
Nobody has an issue with St. Patrick's Day or St.
or
Valentine's Day.
I mean, I can go, and I went on and on with this. I said,
Yeah.
you have Breast Cancer Awareness Month. Of course, we have a month dedicated, but we talk about breast cancer every single day, and
Yeah.
and Autism Month, and so you only have an issue with this month. And I had to really start looking what people were saying. I mean, I've always have, but social media really opens your eyes on people who are in the closet, and they
Yeah.
come out, and they come out, and they say, why can't we celebrate this? Well, we do celebrate it. I celebrate Chinese New Year. I think those are beautiful to celebrate. We used to have them here
Yeah.
in my district. My friend, she used to put on a Chinese New Year celebration. I used to go to them every year. It was beautiful to see the parades, the culture, eating the food. When I was going to Hawaii, when I was in the military, embracing the Polynesian culture, the Tahitian culture. I said, what's wrong with celebrating a culture? And that makes you learn. You get to learn their food, you get to learn their traditions. But when it comes to Black History Month, why does it got to be called Black History Month? So
Yeah.
what? So what? And
To be
and I had to
honest,
just
I don't even want a Black History Month. I want my
no,
history to be taught all year with everybody
no,
else's history.
I
But we
agree.
bastardize it so
I
bad.
I agree. And I tell people it's not that we're segregating. It is a time to really remember and point out. A lot of my posts, I find great Black leaders, especially Black Republicans who were elected and made a difference. And I start posting those people that people hardly ever knew or talked about. I even have older friends who are like, wow, we never even knew this person. They're like way older than me. And they actually appreciate me posting that because I take the time to research, okay, who can I post today? Not to knock your obvious leaders, Frederick Douglass, Dr. King, or Rosa Parks, but I start to put out, Senator Edward Brooke and other people, and I'm digging for more people so I can give them recognition. Of course, our history is American history, and it should be taught
Yep.
in schools, but it's still not taught in schools properly or even in the textbook because they only give you a blurb about Harriet Tubman and Dr. King. They don't talk about Booker T. Washington. They don't talk about Ida B. Wells. They don't talk about a lot of great inventors that we've had since the 1700s here in this country, in the 1600s as well. And
Even
that's why
worse now, they teach nothing but the bad shit.
they teach bad, and
They
I
don't
blame
teach about the
Hollywood.
success of
They don't
Tuskegee Airmen. They teach
know.
about the Tuskegee experiments. They
They
don't
they
teach about the good things or they'll
no.
teach about Nat Turner and the slave rebellions
Oh, and he
they
was
got snuffed
crazy.
out.
Oh, he was
But
he
they
was
won't teach
crazy.
about they won't teach about the people that fled and managed to form their own colonies up north and create wealth and
Right.
jobs and stuff like that. We'll
They don't
talk
teach.
about how the
They
Black Wall Street that got burnt down,
right.
but not the ones that we built up and were destroyed for economic reasons. We
Correct.
we get
And
all the
and
bad shit, none of the good.
and that's the thing where I know everybody has their opinion on Black History Month. I love it. I've always celebrated it, even in my household, Juneteenth and even the Negro National Anthem. We talked to, I grew up that I had grandparents. My grandmother was from the South. So, hearing her stories on everything. And then also my grandfather, who was a three-war veteran, hearing his stories of dealing with racism and segregation in the military. And so I always promote it because I want people to know we do have a positive and an influential community. And yes, it should be celebrated and talked about every single day instead of just 1 month, but we do talk about it every single day. And we want to strive
Yeah.
and we want to carry that legacy, especially as Black conservatives. And I'm not even going to alienate Black conservatives. I said, as a Black community as a whole, regardless of political party, say, hey,
Yeah.
we may disagree on political ideology, but let's carry that torch with Harriet Tubman. Let's carry that torch with Ida B. Wells. Let's be the
Hell,
next. Let's be the next so and so. So let's make our own history. But I
to
think
be
what the
honest, conservatives should be embracing all of this because you cannot talk
they
Black
won't.
history without talking conservatism.
No,
And as somebody just said that in the chat, kills. Good job, y'all. Yeah, you can't talk Black history without talking conservatism. It
correct.
was everywhere, all the way up until
Yeah,
I mean, even after the Lily White movement and the Republican
right.
Party abandoned us, we were still conservative.
Yes,
So,
yes, they
and
were.
we still practice that conservatism in our local communities, even though we vote liberal. We are the most conservative bloc in the entire Democrat Party.
Let me see. I bought a book, and it's a pretty good book so far. I think I sent it. Let me find a screenshot, and I can show it to everybody. And I'm a book nerd. I'm a very book nerd, and I
I
tell
love to read.
people I love to read. I love to really expand my knowledge and thinking, and it helps me. Okay, it's called Rediscovering Black Conservatism by Lee H. Walker. And okay, let me find the camera. It's that book right there. And this is a really good book. And
Okay,
we're
yeah.
going back to the Booker T. Washington. I know people say, well, Booker T was this and that. I say, well, you have to understand both Booker T and W. Du Bois and,
Yeah.
and formulate your own opinion of who you want to follow. But, our history has gotten to a point where it is becoming to be diminished. Is becoming to be irrelevant. Where if you start looking at our history, paving the way and doing other things here in this country, that mainstream media still wants to put us in the negative light, and that's what my goal in life is to say, no, we're not negative, we're positive. I mean, my great uncle was a Tuskegee airman, and I come from a great pioneer family. I'm a descendant of Basil Biggs. You can look him up. Um, they used his farm part of the Civil War, and so he was part of the Underground Railroad. So I'm going to be posting that too later on this month on my social media platforms on my family background and those people who paved my way. But at the same
Um,
time, the Republican Party really needs to go back to the roots of how it started and why. We were the party of civil rights. We were the party of getting into the communities, but we lost our way so badly because of the establishment, the neocons, the rhinos, and I'll talk about rhinos in a minute. But at the same time, now we're just so many factions that we don't even know where we're going. Where at least the Democrats, we already know who they are. They have the progressives, the socialists, and the communists, and everybody else. But even talking to moderate Democrats and finding blue dog Democrats who are saying they're sick and tired of it too within their own party, but they won't cross over to the Republican Party, so they vote independent
yeah.
or they change their registration to independent because they even said the Republican Party still doesn't understand social issues.
Yeah, there is a video that I believe is Miss Pinky or maybe Harriet Tubman that had it up on her page a while back when I had her on the show. It was a video. I'll remember it soon. It was a video that highlighted the when the messaging switch, when we started declaring
Oh,
all
wow.
when we the timeline of how black people became synonymous with poor people, and when that changed and when it started being used and when crime was associated with black people, and
Correct.
it explains, and it is a literally, like, he gives dates, he gives descriptions, he drops names, and I don't agree with him on like all of his personal views, but he gives these straight down the line, and I think it's a series of like 3 videos, and it explains it quite
Yeah, find
fantastic.
that video. Find that video. Definitely find it because
Like,
I always try to share that information, and I tell people, you know, we've if you look before 1964, yes, we were still segregated and everything else, but we were really flourishing economically too. And I tell people we
yeah,
had a Black Wall Street, we had Rosewood, we were, getting very high education and really breaking barriers and everything else. But something stopped after 1964, and that's where even my mom and older people said it was the introduction of, breaking down the family, economics, and crime. And I'll even say it as a female, feminism. Feminism really ruined a lot of Black households as well. And
third wave,
huh?
feminism,
Yes,
third wave
that
feminism.
the hardcore, you can't have a man in a home. Now you just can't have a man or you can't have kids to be
Yeah,
successful. And I said, I didn't grow up that way. You can still be successful and be married or have children and be in a loving relationship. And you start to ask yourself, this done by design and used on us as an experiment? And you see what you have today, where it's people, and I have female friends, we talk and they said it's so hard to date, and I'm like, no, it's not hard to date, it's not hard to get out there. You just don't know how to talk to somebody, and that's our
yeah,
problem. We got to learn how to talk to each other as adults. And if you don't know how to talk to each other, then you got to love yourself first. You have to really
yeah,
love yourself and then go out there and say, hey, you have to be very confident, but don't start bashing each other and say, well, you're no good, you're just a stereotypical so and so. And it's like, stop doing that. Then we can really flourish coming together.
yeah. We've gotten to the point where we can't even talk to each other anymore, and that's
No, we
that's
can't.
sad. Like, and I said the every movement goes through those 4 waves. I mean, they typically say every cause becomes a movement, every movement becomes a business, and then that business eventually deforms into a racket. And
Hmm.
I think that's so accurate. And I describe it using feminism because it's the movement that is still with us and is most clearly and easily defined. You have first wave feminism, which was equal rights, second wave feminism, which was equal enfranchisement and acceptance. Then you have third wave feminism, which was militancy. I don't need a man, don't want a man, we're as good as men. I can do everything a man can do. Men are all shit. And then you have fourth
Yep.
wave feminism. Woman is a social construct. Special rights just for women. Men are women too.
Right.
And that's how every movement starts to eventually fold on itself. When you get to a certain point, you start to regress backwards, and rather than advocating for equal rights, you actually start to advocate for special rights, sort of like a y'all screwed me, I'm gonna get my back. I get my comeuppance. All right, I'm getting mine. And I think that's where we're at right now, where
Well,
every movement, and I'll say it happened with the transgender movement and it happened with the LGBT movement faster than any other movement. It took decades and generations for both the civil rights movement and the women's movement to get to that, the women's rights movement to get to this point. But because the left attached all of these movements together, and created this weird conglomerate of groupthink. When one went radicalized, everything went radicalized. That's why you're like, I don't believe transgender men should be able to identify as teenage girls and wrestle with my daughter on a wrestling mat. And people are going, that's racist. I'm like, I said transgender men. Where did I mention race at all? And it goes, no. If you don't like transgender men, I'm like, I didn't say anything about not liking them. I just said I don't want them wrestling with my daughter. Like, it can I say that that's reasonable, or I don't want them sharing a urinal next to each other?
Correct.
Like, can we be reasonable about this? And then, but because they attach them all together, we get into this loop where you mention one, and all of a sudden the entire conglomerate comes after you.
Correct.
And now they're actually starting to get to the point where they're starting to eat at each other, because each one wants their own special circumstances and their own special rights. And they're like, now you're standing in the way of me getting mine. Now I'm going to come after you.
Correct.
And I'm hoping, because I'm seeing the grifters and the cronies start to eat at our own conservative movement. And they've gotten to the point where they're doing this before. So it's like, are we going to eat ourselves, or is the left going to eat itself before we get to the point where we can actually save this country? And I mean, I don't even mean save it. Like, I don't want unanimous Republican control.
No.
Right? That's insane. I don't want that. I don't want to get rid of the Democrat Party. I think we are a check on each other, and I think it works well that way. And
checks and balances.
Divided government is actually, divided government is a check. There's a check and a balance, and we need that, because it keeps us from going too extreme. I mean, I would like super majorities in 2022.
But even that, I mean, we
of like people like me and you.
But I understand.
Like me and you that will actually turn some shit back.
But even in midterms, if we take back everything, is, let's say, 2024, we have everything, we've had everything, but nothing still gotten done. Nothing got done. And I even point that out, even with the Democrat side, when Obama got into office, that Democrats controlled, and they still didn't do anything. And so, no, you're absolutely correct. I know somebody, Kay Kill, said 1965 we start voting in judges that was happy to put us all in jail. No, you're absolutely right, because that's where we need to go into the local level and say, hey, you can't just vote in the presidential election. You have to know who you're voting for mayor, district attorney, county supervisor, and judges. And we can't rely on the White House to solve all of our problems. You got Joe Biden has about 700 EOs that he signed so far. And so it's like, this is not how government is supposed to be. Going back to education, I talked about Black History Month. We need to push civics. We need to have mandatory civics classes with two different perspectives teaching it. You can't have one teacher that leans right. You can't have one teacher that leans left. And to have real debate on civics. If we don't understand civics, and I even had to refresh on those classes, we have a generation that's going to create a monarch. They're like, oh, what's city council? What's district attorney? What's county supervisors? Oh, we just focus on the president. And I've been seeing that a lot with people, even my generation. I'm Gen X. Oh, we just vote on presidential elections, but they'll complain about the potholes and the taxes and the high business taxes. And I said, well, that's not the president's job. The federal level can only do so much. You got to get involved in the state and the local level. And I keep saying that all politics start at the local level. Tip O'Neill, he was a Democrat. And so Sonny Johnson always promotes that as well. And I really do like Sonny. And she has a great Periscope on her page too. I tell everybody, go check that out. But with history, that's great. We need to know history. We need to also know about the Roman Empire, why they fell and everything else, and why other dynasties fell and other governments fell. But we need to go back to basic civics and being taught by both sides. Even if you got two teachers in there, it at least opens up the debate and let people have a critical thinking and make their own decision. This is how it's supposed to be. And because we are a constitutional republic, I could say that, you know, Republicans try, but they don't know how to message it correctly. And especially when it comes to different demographics in schools. I mean, yeah, we all promote school choice, homeschooling, private school, but I went to both. I went to private school and public school. So I turned out fine. I wasn't in a bad public school arena. And you know, I like I said, I'm Generation X, so we didn't get all those radical teachers. But I did have a teacher, my sociology teacher, Mr. Lively, and he said, I'm a liberal. You know, I'm a Democrat liberal, but I'm going to teach you government. I'm going to teach you the correct way. I'm not even going to put my ideology on it. And I
Yeah.
respected him with that. And he said, I'm not here to push my beliefs. I'm here to teach you what the book says. And that's where we need to take control back with the school districts and getting more parents involved, regardless of what political party you're in. You need to start knocking on the doors and start going to the PTA meeting and say, hey, what are you teaching my child here? You're supposed to be teaching them the basics and to get ahead in life. Let me teach them this, how we feel politically. But you're supposed to teach them 2 + 2 = 4, not 2 + 2 = 6 or 7. And so that's where we really need to start looking at, because the generations behind us are not going to understand, and our country will collapse. And that's
Yeah.
where I tell people you have to really start asking ourselves, okay, public education, school system, there we know there's issues, so we need to run people to run on those school boards. We need people to get more involved, because that's where it starts with all this chaos and confusion.
Yeah. The problem is we I saw both. So I'm at the latter end of millennials. So I'm one of the older ones, and
But I
I
like the
saw
older ones. You
the
80s kids I like.
yeah. I saw the end of like old school teaching, and I
Hmm.
saw the beginning of where everything started to transition. And I saw it get really bad when I was in college, because I started to see the language being changed.
Correct.
And that's when I became aware that, oh wow, you're changing the language now. This is dangerous. And
Hmm.
I'll get in that in a minute, but civics needs to be taught with history. You cannot
Yes.
teach our government without teaching Locke, Hobbes, De Montesquieu,
Correct.
Alexis de
Yes.
Tocqueville,
Yes.
Blackwood. You can't discuss our history without discussing all these ideologies. Roman law and English common
Correct.
law and Greek
Plato.
parliamentary law and Plato. I mean,
Yes.
Plato solved collectivism
I
before
I, I
Marx
know.
ever tried it. And
I
it
know.
was a mental exercise for him. So I'm sitting here and I'm seeing people, I'm like, they're like, oh man, yeah, we can do this and we can make it work. I go, there's a dude that Marx like stole all this shit from. And he did this like 1,000 years ago.
Hmm.
And at the end of the exercise, he acknowledged what everybody on the planet acknowledges, which is we are individual sentient beings and we are not ants on a fucking hill. We have our own ideas, and all it takes is one person to buck that system
Right.
before it starts to crumble. As soon as one dissenting idea starts to spread, it spreads like a virus,
Yes.
because and you can't stop it. Plato figured this out at the end of his entire exercise. He's basically, you have to use the utmost dystopian ends to, or means to reach the most utopian end. It's not possible because human beings are flawed and individualistic. It goes directly against our nature. The best
Correct.
you can hope to do is clear the pathway and make it easy for people to do right. When you make it easy for people to do right, they will. And you'll only be dealing with the crazy psychos that want to be like actual warlords. So instead of wearing a suit, Bernie Sanders would be out there with a sword and a horse trying to track people down. And I'm okay with that because
he's wearing those mittens. Yeah, he got the mittens.
Yeah. And I'm okay with that because I can contend with, like, I've said this before. I'm not scared of the Klansman that wears a hood. I'm scared of the dude who wears a suit and a tie and has these discussions behind closed doors. The guy that can stab me in the back, that can shake my hand, smile in my face, and stab me in the back.
And they go to those closed door meetings, and it's like, okay, they come out and they're all shaking hands, and there you go. Yeah. There's new policy.
And I've said this from day one, and I apply it to everybody. If we are going to use desperate impact theory, we have to use it across the board. That means when if desperate impact theory is how you go, oh, well, this hurts the black community, so the person who enacted it is racist. I go, okay, cool. This helps the black community. Is the person who enacted it not racist? Like, if that's your standard, there's a whole lot of conservatives that y'all been calling racist for a lot of years that aren't racist by those standards. Or are we going to apply nuance only when it's you're defending your own side? Or are we going to apply nuance universally and apply it to everybody?
But here's
which
my
I
thing.
say towards conservatism. We have presidents that we think are the utmost conservative people, like Ronald Reagan was conservative fiscally. He is conservative, but that was it. Booming economy, but he deregulated the shit out of the government. But he grew government power and authority over certain areas of the lives of citizenry. Like he created spy organizations. We started spying on each other, and we started friggin' locking people up. And then you had the another Red Scare, and you had all this stuff going on. And I'm like, this isn't conservative. I know we worship him because we all made money, yay! But he's not. That was
that was the original MAGA. But you bring up Ronald Reagan because, he was the governor of California and he was a Democrat. And during that time was the Black Panther movement. So when the Black Panther started arming up, he said, oh, wait a minute, time out. We about to do some gun control laws here. And that's where that started. When Ronald Reagan was the governor, he was scared.
Interesting that our most loved and famous Republicans are red pill Republicans. I think it's hilarious.
I think but you look at it in a way, and I'll take Donald Trump.
Reagan was honest about it.
Well, I'll take Donald Trump and Ronald Reagan. They saw both sides. They saw both sides. Where Ronald Reagan was, he was an actor. He was part of that Hollywood craziness with the communists taking over. Walt Disney was trying to warn everybody, hey, communists are taking over. And Ronald Reagan was during that era. Same thing with Donald Trump. He was a billionaire businessman. He was Democrat, independent. Now he's a Republican. And so they saw both sides of the spectrum. I even tell people, I said, I turned Republican when I voted for George Bush. And the first president I voted for was Bill Clinton. And so I wanted to vote for George Bush. This was where I was, I was about to join the military and everything. And I said, well, conservative values always been my values. But, I already knew Republican Party, they still lacked, engagement with minorities. I said, I want to join and try to make a change. Here I am 20 years later. But you see both sides. And I have Democrat friends, Democrat family members. I live in a Democrat city. And you learn from them. But you also say, wow, we have more in common than what we think that we do, because it's sitting down and having that conversation. Hey, I want good schools. I want good public safety. I want to help the homeless population. And that's what I did my last election. I just started having conversations with people, told me I was running for office again. I didn't have where I had a Democrat or Republican Um, I didn't identify it on my flyers until they got the ballot, and some people are calling me like, "You're a Republican?" Yeah. Wow, we stand for everything you stand. Do I have to switch parties? No. You can vote for me as a Democrat in the general election. In California, you could do it in the primary. And it's just taking that time to talk to people on the level where you're middle class, you're working hard, you're trying to raise a family, you're 9 to 5 and say, hey, aren't you tired of the traffic? Yes, I'm tired of the traffic. Aren't you tired that there's no after school programs? Yes. Hey, I'm running for office. Let's get this going. And especially it works better in nonpartisan, but when it comes to partisan, it's a little bit harder because people say, well, we don't like the president. I said, well, he's only there temporarily. I could be here for the next 20 or 30 years. He could still work with me. And that's where the
Yeah.
messaging has to really start resonating. It's getting down to the basics and having those uncomfortable conversations and
Yeah.
saying you're complaining about this, but you hate the president, you hate the Republican Party, but at the same time you're complaining about the same things we're complaining about. Why don't you just try to give us a chance and we can work on outreach and getting out there? I'll circle back to Ronald Reagan. I was a little kid when he was president, and I didn't think nothing of him because I'm a little kid. I saw him, the Berlin Wall comes down and this and this and this, and I really
Yeah.
started studying Ronald Reagan when he was a governor. And so that's where you brought up a good point. Our two most famous Republicans, besides Abraham Lincoln, who was our first Republican president, they were Democrats.
Mhm.
And but people say, well, Democrats were different back then. I said, how? You got to really study and say, well, maybe they learned how to message better, and that's why they got the vote and got reelected. So let's take them as an
You know,
example.
you know what it was? They were pop culture icons.
Their populism.
Yeah,
Yeah,
they had that
yeah.
populism. They could tap into the culture. They didn't need a vice president to do it for them.
No,
We on
and
the
they
conservative
did it
side,
on
we
because
like,
everybody knew Ronald Reagan.
yeah, I mean,
He had a
look what
he
the
was
establishment of the party put up. Look what the establishment of the party put up. Bush Sr., who is like the driest, most uninspiring speaker ever. You
yeah, I
got
remember
Bush
that.
Jr., who's like, I'm along for the ride. And what do we get for vice presidents? Equally, if not more dry and more detached from the culture. So when people say that we're robots, I can't, I can't,
I
I
can't
can't
deny it.
they're not. Yeah, like we sound like robots, and then we go around saying facts don't care about your feelings. Like it sounds like you're walking around going, I can't compute. Like what
I
would be in an 80s sci-fi movie? Come on, man.
the
Like
Star
we
Trek,
sound like the damn Terminator. Like I
the
don't under
old
you
the
don't seem
old
to have
school
broken
Godzilla
parts.
movies.
Yeah, like you don't seem to have broken parts. Why is your face leaking? Like
Yes,
it's it doesn't make any sense. But
but here's the
we're
problem.
all caught up in our own feelings right now.
But
You
here's the
got a whole
problem.
bunch of conservatives saying the most like crazy hell, crazy shit. We're not going to vote in an election, and that'll show them. We're just not going to show up. Not vote for the other guy. We're just not going to show up, and that'll show them. Like,
When I
no, the
saw
time to
that,
show people is in the primaries.
I said, what planet are you guys on? When I saw that going down on Twitter, I said, I'm staying out of it, but I'm reading all these crazy comments. I
Mhm.
said, that's the worst thing to ever do. Say, I'm not going to vote. It doesn't matter. It's rigged, the Dominion. And I'm like, still go out there and vote. Now Georgia
Yeah,
is blue.
it's right up there with it. It's like that dude that thinks he's going to cut off his wife. Like, that's it, woman. You're cut off. Cut off from what? Cut off from all of this. Like,
Oh, all right.
that's not. That ain't gonna work. That
That
ain't
ain't gonna
gonna work.
work. I just go to the bank and take all the money out. So you
Yeah,
really cut.
yeah. You cut off from all this gorgeousness. That only works one way.
Right.
That
It's
only
like,
works one way. And that's how when people were saying it in Georgia, I'm like, and there it goes. It's done and over with. And my buddy's like, no, we can still win. I'm like, no. You saw
Mm-mm.
how close it was in November. It takes not even 0.5% to not show up for it to be all over. And then we find out 750,000 conservatives didn't show up to vote in November. Wow. Wow. But you know what?
Sometimes, but here's
I'm
my
actually
thing.
optimistic for 2022. Besides
Really?
cyclic, well, I'm optimistic for two reasons. Besides the cyclic rate of how this actually ends up turning out, there's a lot of buyer's remorse right now with Biden and with the Democrats because Trump is not on the table anymore.
That's true.
Trump is not on the table, which means everything Biden's doing, you can't blame on Trump. You can't blame it on him anymore. Biden got into office and immediately was like, all right, civil rights leaders, sit down, shut the hell up. The illegal
Hmm.
immigrants are here now, and we got a new demographic to pander to. Just shush. And then he passes an executive order. We're going to do an amnesty, and we're going to do that amnesty, and
Oh,
it's going to be over 8 years of 11 million people. And I'm sitting there doing the math. I'm like, so you mean the normal rate of immigration? So you're giving amnesty at the normal rate of immigration? I'm like, I can't deny with the math there that actually, if you're going to do an amnesty, that makes passable sense. However, I'm sitting here going, you just scam the shit out of them. You scam the shit out of them. Yeah, over 8 years, don't worry, I'll get it done. But you have to vote for me for a second term. And
but
then
here's the
tell all the
thing.
black people to sit down and shut the hell up. And we get a Harriet Tubman bill.
That's what I was gonna
So,
say. I said, no,
yeah,
we got Harry Tubman on $20 bill. I'm like, all right, that's all we got. But here's the problem.
Venmo.
And this is what I'm not bashing anybody who worked in the administration or even Black Voices for Trump. If Trump had came out with the platinum plan in the beginning of his term, he would have won. He would have won a second term. It was a day late and a dollar short. It wasn't promoted as much as, but if he had started the platinum plan and implemented that his first 100 days in office in 2016, we would have saw a totally different election.
Mm-hmm.
Even in midterms, we would have saw a different election. And he should have told everybody, nope, this is it. This is what we're running on for the next 4 years,
Yep.
and everything else too for everybody. But this is it. This is the plan, and we're going to execute and implement this and make sure, you know, what do you call it, opportunity zones and everything else, and prison reform. We're going to do this the first 100 days. I think I may be wrong, but this is just my observation and opinion. That if he had did that the first 100 days in office, it would have been a whole different ball game.
It would have been.
the
It would have
democrats the democrats and the Republican establishment, they would have started, you would have really started seeing them freak out in Washington, DC. They would have
been.
been running out the Capitol like, this guy's nuts. But it would have showed everybody, wow, he recognized the problem, and he said, first
Mhm.
100 days, we're about to do this, and it better be done.
Yep. I can tell you right now, if I was elected, first day, Venmo. I'm not linked to your account. Oh, just a minute.
Yeah, no problem.
I'm sorry.
That's
Sorry.
okay. Gotta do what you gotta do.
All right. Sorry about that. I got a
All
guy out
right.
snow blowing because I destroyed my snow blower this morning when we got, or yesterday when we got that storm. I sucked up a wire into my drive shaft. I don't know how, but it happened, and I got a shield around my drive shaft, so I can't get my hands in there to take it off. And apparently, it takes a special tool, so that you have to go see the maintenance guy. Because I couldn't
Wow.
even find a tool at the hardware store. So, but I mean, that's neither here nor there. Everything you said is 100% right. If I was walking in the office, first thing I would have done is like, hey, everybody that put me here, or everyone that I said I'm running for, here you go.
Mm-hmm.
I can't. The Biden immediately signing executive order concerning his biggest constituent groups. I can't knock that. I don't like executive orders. I don't like them
I don't
regardless of
either.
who signs them. But I can't knock that because he's trying to do stuff that he knows he's not going to be able to get through Congress. Because the
Correct.
fact is, even the Democrats in power, the establishment Democrats, are just shucking and jiving to pretend they're doing the same thing the establishment Republicans are. They
They're
run
they're
on lies
they're the
and
same.
yeah,
They're the
they're all the
same.
same. The most bipartisan thing in Congress is the establishment. They're all trying to just pretend. They'll lie to us to get elected, and then they're like, all right, guys, figure out a narrative that makes it seem like we're doing shit for the next 2 years until we got to justify this shit again.
Right.
They're the mega grifters, and they're grifting off our own emotions. And
I
Maj
like that
Toure
term.
said it,
I like what you just said. They're the mega grifters grifting off the American people. That's
yeah,
absolutely correct.
and Maj Toure had it best. They, when he was on Sonny Johnson, we are all airing our grievances. Doesn't matter what side of the aisle you're on, we're all airing our grievances against the state. The common theme is the government, not the country, not the principles we were founded on, but the government's inability to actually live up to them.
Mm-hmm.
We're all airing our grievances, and yet they've figured out how to keep us taking each other out and invalidating each other's grievances. To which I say, I listen to each other's grievances and they sound pretty freaking valid to me. Sounds to me like we're all using different wording to describe the exact same thing.
Correct.
Like the exact everything we just saw transpire in DC with the police directing a crowd of MAGA hat wearing fools into a crowd of Antifa. Yeah, and Black Lives Matter. Yeah. So that would be the state using the police against you the same way we've been saying they used it against us for decades.
Yeah.
And you can't say it didn't happen because Bloomberg said it out loud friggin' 20 years ago. Joe Biden said it out loud 20 years ago that they shouldn't target us less, they should target us more.
Correct.
So I'm sitting here going, we're all airing our grievances. We need to stop it. We need to listen to each other. Listen to the content.
But they won't.
We as conservatives,
They
we
but
romanticize the government agencies. Like we have our own protected class. The military, firefighters, law enforcement,
correct.
paramedics, FBI, CIA, NSA, DHS, all the triple letter agencies. The like 403 U.S. agencies, sub-agencies, and sub-agencies. We love them. And it's all because we romanticize the individuals that work in them to the point where we can no longer distinguish our love for the individual from our love for the agency. And we end up defending both just because the left are complains about one. And like the left is complaining about a system that puts individuals in a bad situation where they're forced to be cogs in a machine and not be principled individuals. Like we should be arguing against that system too. These systems inherently are not conservative. They're all systems of government. Our answer to everything is private. They're inherently not conservative. They're all intruding on the lives of individuals. So, yes, I believe they're necessary evils to one degree or another, but why are we defending them? We should be levying criticism where it's applicable.
But that's where the Republican Party, like you just said it so well, and you try to tell higher ups and leaders and all these party people, but it goes in one ear out the other ear, you know, and it's where I keep saying people like us really need to start formulating something that's different, not different in taking away the principles, but to make it 21st century. And that's where in 22nd century, and to say, hey, we're growing something here. So because we understand the issues and we understand the grievances, let us do our own thing. And, not to prove you wrong, but to show, hey, we just registered 30,000 people in 1 year because they actually heard and they related to what we just said and like what you just said. And that's where even the Democrat Party, can you hold on real quick? Can you hold on real quick?
Yeah.
Okay. Hold on real quick. Hold on. Hold on real quick.
Okay.
Okay. Sorry about that. Somebody
Not a
was at
problem.
my door. Somebody was at my door real quick. But
Oh,
what were
that's
we saying? It's no, it's really start formulating now,
mhm.
and it's not going to take overnight to even accomplish 20%. It's going to take
No.
another 10 years, 20 years to at least get to 30%. And that should be the goal. And to really
I,
start talking, huh?
I'm optimistic. I think we can hit 20% in 2022.
You think that's that quickly?
Based on the growth that we had in just this past election, the 6% growth. I
Okay.
think we could have achieved it this election if we had left Brexit and Candace Owens out of it.
Well, it's
I
it's
think
more than it's
there were
more
a lot
it's
of people that were in the movement that actually, um, because I looked at the rate of growth and then I saw the stagnation where it's like, oh wow, he's actually able to reach people just by talking economics, and then boom, Candace Owens, Brexit, and all of that. That whole, as soon as the Kanye West debacle hit, that was it. I saw it and I was like, and there it goes, the stop. It was like somebody had just, you know
yeah.
what it is? It's like those pylons at the front gate of base that just shoot up when you try to ram through the base. Just bam. The whole damn everything stopped. And I was like, and there we go. There we
So
go.
you
And at
so you
first,
think
I
so
was
you
like,
think
hold up,
20%.
maybe I think it's possible. If
Okay.
this right here, if and I got a message from CPAC earlier today, because I tagged, I'd say about 30 or 40 of us in a message directly to CPAC and Matt Schlapp. And I was like, look, if you really want to win and you really want to win the black vote and you really want to win young voters and all the demographics that we're losing because the boomer generation is dying off.
Correct.
They're dying off, and they're also uh
They're tired.
consistently becoming, they're tired, and they're becoming more, they have more disdain for the Republican Party because of our inaction. If you really want to win, you are not going to win with the same people on stage at
No.
CPAC that you always have.
I
Your
think I saw you
repetitive
tweet that.
audience, yeah. Well, I sent in a private message too in a DM, and I was
Okay.
like, this is the cast, because I knew if I sent in a thread, I can get like maybe 3-4 comments in before I actually get to name everybody. So I just went in the thread and I was like, here we go. 40 freaking people. These are the people that you need to have on stage. Panels, stuff like that. You need to get in touch with Maj Toure, get a copy of his Solutionary Summit. Those
Correct.
conversations will reach the communities and young voters because that is what we failed to do. You cannot repackage old talking points behind new energy. We see right through it. This younger generation, we have this thing called the internet.
Correct.
And you can look up the things that you said yesterday to another crowd of people and compare them to what you're saying today, and it sounds exactly the same. You just got a new face in front of me. So we see you clearly. We can still message to these people. I'm saying in Magdalene Rose, I had her on the podcast. Magdalene Rose is a great individual. She is like the young voter whisperer. She really does understand how young voters think.
Mm-hmm.
And we need to stick with people like that, because these people are the people who are going to win it for us in this next round.
Yes.
We need Scott Pressler, who wants to be the Stacey Abrams of the right.
I met him. I met him. He's the sweetest person, and he recognized me. Oh, and his hair.
He seems.
His
I bet
hair is so nice. I was like, but
yeah,
he
he's
is
got
so
gorgeous
sweet.
hair.
But I can tell you when I met him, and he's extremely tall, and I'm tall, but I'm like, oh my God, you're really tall. But he is so welcoming and warming. I said I could felt his spirit saying you're a good person, and he said and that's what I'm saying. He said I'm going to go out here into the Black community and clean up.
Yeah.
You know, and so why do we need the party to tell us to clean up? You got the Scott Presslers, and you got other these great people that are not really looking to be famous, but they say, look, I'm in Baltimore, I'm here, and I'm going to show people how to do voter registration. That's the people that we need to say we are the new wave, because you're not doing it as establishment and even the grifters and everybody else, because all you want to do is be on Fox News and go to the White House and have a party. Yes, I called it out. No, you have the Scott Presslers and you have the other people out there that are getting into the community
Scott
and
Pressler,
talking to
Roderick Threats, Magdalene
Roderick,
Rose, Sonny
that's my buddy right there.
Johnson.
And
Yeah, I love Rod.
you're
And
getting out there.
all these people. You got you, me, Tamika
Jeff.
Hamilton. You got people that ran Jeff, Sonny, Coach Felicia, Shaquem. You got all these great people that have great ideas, and they know how to reach communities, and they know how to speak differently, and they understand how average everyday people speak. We don't.
Because we're average people.
Not make it. Yeah, we're average people. The average Republican voter is not a corporate millionaire or billionaire. You just saw all the corporate millionaires and billionaires line up for the left. So I don't want to hear we're the party of big business anymore. But what we should be is the party that makes every individual want to be a millionaire.
Correct.
Our damn theme song should be that Bruno Mars, I want to be a millionaire. That should be the Republican Party. Don't run away from being the party of the rich. Embrace that shit. People want to be rich. This is America. People come from all over the world in America.
They become millionaires.
Yeah.
So what's wrong with that?
We need to look at what they do and understand these people acquire wealth, or they project wealth.
It goes to economics too. You know, really teaching, like I said, civics and history, but start teaching economics. I know one of my admirers passed away, Walter Williams, and now we have Thomas Howell left. And going back to Hyde, going back to Milton Friedman, and start restudying how they viewed economics, and to start talking about that even in the Republican Party, because we do too have a difference with economics. And some people feel that, well, reparations are bad, or some people feel like, well, this work hard. But you got to understand understand, why do you say reparations are bad? Are you actually understanding why some people, I even know some people on the right said, no, I think Black people should get reparations. And you're a rhino.
There's a way to
rhino.
do it conservatively.
Yes.
There's a way to do it conservatively, and I've been exploring that lately. It comes with different principles that we on the right hold. We don't like government monopolizing industry and controlling industry.
Land. 'Land. 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 'Land.
divest from federal land. Divest from federal land means not a dollar out of an individual's pocket in this country, just a divestment of government land and give it to ADOS. Not every black person, ADOS. You're not watering it down. You're not making it people of color. No, ADOS only. And it is
But then you go into the debate, but you go into the debate, ADOS are gonna say, well, how are we gonna prove how long we've been here? I mean, I can go back. I have a family Bible that goes back to 1840. You know, 1840. I mean, how do we prove that? I'm playing devil's advocate.
Ancestry.com gets pretty freaking good at it. I'm just saying they got pretty freaking. I'm ADOS. So
I actually am too. I don't care. People say you aren't, but I say, yeah,
see how light
am.
I am, and they're like, no, there's no way, and I'm like,
yes, I am too.
My dad is Italian and Irish, and we had the Irish wave into the country, and we had the Italian wave into the country, and prior to that, we also had the Caribbean islands wave into the country in my family, and ADOS, descendants of slavery. So I have all four. Technically, if
you're getting a bigger check.
If conservatives really want to complain about Irish and indentured servitude and stuff, which I'm just going to throw out there, reparations wouldn't apply to them because it was not sanctioned or condoned by the state. Actually, the state fought to ban indentured servitude of white individuals. So, yeah, they didn't do the same for Chinese. So, nice try. I know more history than these people do. But
I'm glad
we get caught up in
I'm glad you reached out to CPAC because I'm still debating if I want to go. The prices are too high and I got to pay for airfare and hotels. I'm like, that's a lot of money right there. And I'm going to hear what? I'm going to hear the same talking points that I could just live stream it and let everybody see and save some money.
I'm going for the networking, and I'm going, honestly.
You're going to the Frederick Douglass event?
Yep.
I'm going to try to do that. I'm going to see if I can do that. Are you paying for the whole convention, or are you just going for that in particular?
I'm going down the week prior to CPAC for the Frederick Douglass, and then I'm going the week of CPAC like 2 days later for actual CPAC, and I'll be there for the whole event. I paid for the VIP package so I could network and meet people and try to.
And a VIP package, I'm like, good grief.
I saw it and I was like, I know I need to do it because I'm new and I haven't been in it long enough and I don't have the reach, but I need to be an asshole to people's face. I need to get people to understand that some of the stuff that they're doing is counterproductive. And the only way I'm going to be able to do that is get to talk to the people that I know are making decisions. Right. If I can't get to those people, and we're going to repeat the exact same thing in 2022. And I will put on my salesman pants and I will sell them the ideas because all politics is sales. If I sell them and make them understand
it's business.
Plantation talking points are like insulting your client before trying to make a sale. They're bad. We shouldn't do them. It should be that simple. If I have to explain it further, I will. But if you don't get it there, chances are you don't get it in the next couple minutes when I continue to explain further. When I tell you, hey, by owning our failures in the past, and our failures in respect to the black community are actually pretty freaking light because most of the transgressions were at a local level.
Correct.
So all you got to do is basically be like, look, we should have been there to have your back, man.
We should have been there. And
I'm sorry for that. So we're basically apologizing like the absent father trying to get back in his kid's life.
Oh, don't. Yeah. I grew up that way, but we talked about it. I accepted his apology and we moved on.
Mhm.
And, you know, it was a great feeling. And I like how I had to see when that Frederick Douglass thing is. Maybe I could just fly down there for a couple of days and just show up and meet Black Pack George and everybody else. I haven't met a lot of people in person, just online. To meet you and everybody else, maybe not do the whole event because I'm just looking at the price. That's that conservatism in me. Like, ooh, that's a lot of money. I could use that for
Oh
something
no,
else.
for the Frederick Douglass Foundation, it's only like $45.
No, what I'm saying is CPAC, that
Oh,
that
for
silver
CPAC.
package, and I'm like, oh Lord, what is this going to get me? That's not even including airfare or hotel. And
It's not. It's not even available anymore.
no, they have the second package, it's like $7,500, and I said, oh Lord, I got to go play some lotto tickets here or something, or God bless me really well. But even
Yeah,
that seventy
I
five
looked at
hundred
the
dollars.
price.
But here's my thing. It's
I
like, how
reserved
do
my package like a month ago, and then I got a call yesterday, and they were like, "You haven't paid for it yet," and I'm like, "Yeah, I was about to pay for it," and they're like, "Well, we have a waiting list," and I'm like, "Oh, so what you're saying is I need to pay for it, or you're going to give my tickets to somebody else?" And they're like, "Yeah." I'm
yeah.
like, "Okay, all right."
But but here's the mistake with the Republican Party with these things. You're charging all this money, and you have so many people that want to go to things like this, but how can you afford it? You don't make things affordable for people to go. And I get it. You're trying to make money. You have all these lovely packages, but you should have sold a basic economic package and had more tickets available. Well, that got sold out. Then create more. Create more. Because you're losing the working class families in our party. You may even have some independents who want to go that say, "Wow, I can't afford this right now." And here we are in COVID. A lot of people lost their businesses and people's money strapped tight. They may want to go and to express their grievances as small business owners. They may be Democrats who say, "You know what? I want to see what you guys are talking about because my party did screwed us over so bad, especially with this lockdown. I lost everything. I want to get to know the Republican Party." But you're charging now. The next charge is like 75 to what, $150,000 for what? It's like, this make it affordable. And that's where we have to start doing to reach out to every demographic. What if somebody says I can only afford $1,000? And so they really need to start looking at that and start selling more of those tickets to have a better outreach. That's just my opinion.
I want the Solutionary Summit to be the big one of the bigger events this year. I
When is
want
that?
enough people. Um, Maj hasn't given a date yet.
I'd rather
Shame
go
on
to that.
her.
I'd rather
Yeah.
go to that.
You should go to the Frederick Douglass breakfast. Just I mean, because I'm going to be there, and then we get to talk, and maybe we can convince people.
And give
Some
everybody the evil
guys,
eye.
most definitely. Like I'm like, dude, make me a speaker, and I will sell the rest of the Black movement on this new because we need to stop with the old
Talking
blue
points.
dog. It's basically blue dog Democrat
You
friggin'
think
talking
so?
points.
I find
Like
it to be.
our old school Republican Party, the evangelical, no gay marriage,
Oh
transgender
yeah.
this, transgender that. We need to stop these people from moving into our country type shit. And I'm like, or
But the
maybe we could simplify the immigration system, make it easier for people to immigrate here so it makes sense, so they're not doing it illegally, because if they're working under the table, then they're depressing wages. Maybe we could make it so cheap to do corporate business in America that every business from around the world flocks here immediately and our manufacturing comes back. Maybe we could give a tax deduction or a tax incentive for manufacturing to relocate in economically distressed areas. Maybe we could, I don't know,
there's a
set
lot of
the
weak goods.
yeah, set a flat tax so that people understand the tax system.
I like the
I
flat
mean,
tax.
yeah, I'm saying 10% across the board. Everyone is available for the exact same deductions. 10,000 per adult, 2,500 per kid, up to 3 kids. You can't have 18 kids and get like $80,000 off your taxes. It's freaking
No,
ridiculous.
3
So
kids. That's it.
friggin' 2,500 for 3 kids. That's the average to be able to maintain a culture is 2.5 children per couple. And then from there, we just deregulate everything. It also changes how we allocate budgeting. Instead of a use it or lose it system, which you and I both know as military members, that's how the military operates.
Mm-hmm.
Instead of a use it or lose it system,
Yep.
use it, and it has to
Every
be based on
fiscal year,
yeah.
we had to spend August and September. Otherwise,
if you get caught on a spending spree at the end of the year buying furniture that you bought last year, or buying Roomba vacuums for your office and random weird shit like that, you got a PFC that vacuums the office. You don't need a fucking Roomba. All right.
Okay.
That's the dumbest.
Okay, my units were guilty of that. We were buying. We were just trying to spend.
The guard that I got, the guard unit that I did base security for up here, they did that. They got a Roomba freaking vacuum for their office. I'm like, do you not have young men that know how to operate a vacuum?
We didn't do that. We didn't get the Roomba, but we were putting people
and they
on
didn't
orders.
Get the cheap one either. They didn't get the cheap one either. The government got
the most expensive one.
Yeah. And I didn't, when I saw the price, I was like, so the government doesn't get a discount. You guys actually got a markup. That's insane. That's insane. With every, like shit, I could type in my credit union and get a damn discount. You guys got a markup. You suck at negotiating. The worst
can't even get a military discount on a Roomba. I'm just saying.
If we change how we spend, instead of use it or lose it, anything that you don't spend this year, 2 options. Anything, you have to meet a certain level of mission accomplishment. I know in the military, the base level to be able to pass a test is 70%. Right. I know depending on your career, it's 80%.
Correct.
So, and I know for military police, it's 80%. So I say you have to have an 80% mission accomplishment rate.
Correct.
Your effective mission has to be 80% accomplished before you can even be considered for a freaking a budget raise. But anything that you spend or anything that you have left over at the end of the year, you don't have to spend. We're not going to cut your budget just because you didn't spend 120% above your budget. What we're going to do, and they do that on purpose, by the way. They cut your budget for not spending 120% above and give it to a unit that will spend 120% above, because they need that to be able to go to Congress and say, hey, we need a $900 billion budget next year.
Correct.
So instead of doing that, you say, hey, you know what? We have these things called banks and savings accounts and high interest savings accounts. We're going to take that money and we're going to put it in this high interest account, and it's going to earn interest until the next fiscal year while we're waiting to see if you need that money. And if
that's a good idea.
That doesn't happen, then we're going to keep doing that. That money is going to compound interest, but it's there for your unit when you need it.
I like that idea.
It's going to stay the same for the following year, but that money, that extra, is going to sit in an account. So it's still available for you to take out next year. It's still there for your funds allocation.
Right.
But if you request a raise to your budget, it triggers an immediate unit audit of everything that you spent. Right? You're not getting away with buying gear queer shit.
Oh, I don't care how we can't buy the 82-inch screen TV. Why not? Why not, man?
Yeah.
Come on, man.
I don't care how cool your flak jacket looks. None of that shit matters anyways.
We can't do the buy the new barbecue pit for the unit. I'm just asking because we have barbecues every every weekend.
They renovated our
Oh,
barracks uh in Camp Margarita and Camp Pendleton. And I'm not gonna lie, after they finished renovating, I'm like, can I divorce my wife and move back into these fucking things? They put a damn MMA pit in the damn barracks.
I believe it.
Like a rubber pit cage with barbecue pits everywhere and a lounge room with a 110-inch screen TV with an Xbox, a Nintendo Cube, because that was the thing at the
I
time. And the
I seen units like that. It's like
yeah, and I'm
why does
like,
this like full bar
they
everything?
figured
Like
if we
wow,
I
keep the
rebuilt the bar
morale,
in our area.
keep the
I rebuilt
morale.
the bar. Yeah, that well, their idea was maybe if we make the barracks more attractive, they'll get in fights out in town less often. But in all seriousness, it goes
They can
back
fight
to
at the
George Bush.
barracks.
So it goes back to George Bush and Obama, to be completely honest. During the end of George Bush's era and during the
Yeah,
beginning of Obama's era, they came around base and they visited all the barracks and they saw the conditions and they were like,
I remember that.
this is what our like our soldiers and Marines are living in.
Yep,
No,
I
no, no.
remember that.
You need to fix this because the
Hmm.
air wing, because it's on the main road going into Camp Pendleton, the air wing got renovated way earlier. All the stuff along the main road that they typically take POTUS and commanders to, they all got renovated. Some
Okay.
of the grunt battalions that you're required to like, oh man, there's this heretical grunt battalion that's highly decorated. We need to go visit them while you're on base. It looks great for the cameras. They got renovated,
Okay.
but we were behind the flight line. We were headquarters battalion, but headquarters battalion is technically a place you should probably visit if you're president of the United States.
Hmm.
So we were attached there and they came to visit and they were like, wow, this is disgusting. You guys need to renovate all this. And then they found out that 90% of the buildings in the area were condemned.
Asbestos.
Like, yep,
We
they
had
were.
a lot of that at March. They had to tear
And
a
they,
lot of the historical
yeah,
ones down. They said we cannot renovate. It's asbestos.
yep, and they conveniently lost some of the paperwork. Conveniently lost the paperwork. Like they were condemned in the early 2000s.
Wow.
But we were ramping up for war then. So,
Right.
renovations and infrastructure doesn't get done during a war. So they are
Nope.
like, no, we need random other shit. So we're not going to make sure
All
that
the
you don't
money.
die in the barracks.
I could tell people, I worked at wing headquarters. I knew a lot about the finance and deployments. I can tell you the things that I saw. And that's what really kind of prompted me to run the first time because a lot of the experience that I saw, and I was an air technician too. So when I got out the military and I went just regular civil service and try to contact my congressman at the time, well, he's still the congressman, but and say, hey, there's issues here, there's things here, nothing. Oh, I don't know. Just make an appointment. Couldn't make an appointment. And it went into one ear, out the other ear with him. And so when it came down to issues with us air technicians, he didn't want to give us the time of day to hear us. I mean, people filed congressional plaints when it came to fraud, waste, and abuse. He didn't want to hear us. So back in 2017, I was telling a friend of mine all of this. He said, you know what? People have been saying he needs a good challenger, like somebody who's different and have a background on what's going on. He said, why don't you think about running? And I'm like, what? He said, everything that's going on, especially at the base and the local community. And so that's where I threw in my hat in 2018 for midterm. And it was good exposure. I didn't raise a lot of money. So I challenged him again in 2019. And
Mhm.
it was three of us running. Dr. Grace Williams, she was the Democrat, Mark Takano, and myself. So she didn't make primary. So it was just him and I again. And
Yeah.
so I started bringing up more and more of the issues where people on base were calling me and say, oh my God, we hope you get elected because where all the bones are buried here. And so it's like, of course. And so, but really trying to explain that to constituents that, my district is unique because I have a military installation. And if that installation goes away, my district will lose so much money, billions a year because of the revenue. And the base has been there since 1919. It was an airfield. And they owned all the land until the government sold it to private into the cities. But these are the things that even us
California's got
Canada,
rich history.
California, besides the politics, because I was born and raised here, we're a beautiful state. I tell people I can go to the beach, I can go to the mountains. The mountains by me just had snow and was so beautiful. Big Bear. I can go to the desert. If I want to, I can go to Palm Springs. I can even go to the border. I can go to Mexico in 2 hours. That's how.
If California will fix their damn state,
It's
if you
the
stop telling me what
it's
guns that
yes.
I can own and you stop trying to tax me into the poorhouse, I would have no problem moving back there.
Oh,
I
speaking of
love the
that,
car culture. I love the dance culture. I mean,
yeah.
California is the only state in the country where you can see 40, 50-year-olds breaking it down on the dance floor. And I'm like, yes, yes. And they start like at 14 years old. They're like,
I
well, we
but we
preteen
have
club,
and
and
we
then we got
have
a teenage club,
so
then we got a 18 and
yeah.
up, then a 21 and up, then a 25 and up, and then we got a Cougars club. And I'm like, wow, y'all got a whole spectrum of clubs. We
Yes,
have one club.
one club. But
We
I
have
can't
one
say
club that you gotta be 21 to get into.
the recall for Gavin Newsom. We're doing it. I think Senator Melissa Melendez. I think we hit 1.3, 1.4 million signatures. So anybody out there? Oh yeah, we are pushing to recall Gruesome. Nancy
I'm all
Pelosi's
for it.
nephew. But the thing is that the party is going to have to really push messaging to not only the Republicans, we have to get out there, start messaging to the Democrats who are tired and the no party preference who said, yes, let's all band together and
Yeah.
vote a new governor that's going to bring back our golden state. I mean, I have friends that are moving and leaving, but I'm like, I got to stay here and fight as much as I can. I said, I just love my state. But driving to different parts, and I'm like, oh man, another homeless person or this person and
Mhm.
crime and all the bills that got passed. I mean, if you steal under $1,000, oh, you can't get prosecuted, but you're stealing from a mom and pop. And and they hurt the most. Corporates can pay it. But at the same time, mom and pops are hurting, and with the whole COVID
Corporate
19, the small
pay
businesses,
lobbyists.
huh?
Corporate can pay lobbyists to get loopholes and to get special exceptions and
But I'm
shit.
talking about the
And they
mom
got
and
the money
pops
to
that are
drive it.
struggling.
Yeah.
I'm
They
all
they
for mom and
can't.
pop stores.
Yeah, mom and pop businesses can't weather the storm the way corporate entities can. I mean,
No,
China, that's their whole play is to wait out an entire market. They're like, yeah, we'll take the loss, and the government will subsidize them to do it. They'll take
correct.
the loss for 5, 6
But I
years so that they
but
can
I
watch
tell
the market
people,
crash, and then they aggregate the entire market at once.
but and I really am thinking about writing a book, and I'm gonna keep the title to myself, but to talk about California from my perspective, especially as a minority female growing up here, and how it's changed, and how California, the last 30 to 40 years, really, a lot of things that you see across the nation, what's going on, especially with the voting, that all started here in California.
Yeah,
The ballot harvesting, the elite, it does exist. I know people say it doesn't exist. No, it does exist, but it's
California
been
at one point was one of those states that allocated electoral votes based on district, not based
correct,
on the popular vote of the state. And
correct.
then after Ronald Reagan got elected, they were like, "Nope, got to shut that shit down. They got to shut that shit down. We can't have this happen again." And
But
I know people like to opine on the the similarities between Reagan and Trump. There are a lot of similarities and there are a lot of differences too.
correct.
Reagan grew into the office. To be honest, he was a freaking actor. He knew what to say, when to say it, how to say it.
Exactly.
And
Thank
he
you.
could sell anything to anybody. I would put Reagan up against Obama as one of the greatest speakers of all time.
I agree. I
You could
agree. I
disagree
know
with
people can say
everything he
Obama.
said.
I said Obama was an excellent speaker. I
Yeah,
mean, he
he could
and
sell anything to anybody.
anybody. Same thing with Ronald Reagan. You know, and you just listen to his old speeches, you're just like, wow. Because he was,
Yeah,
like you said, he was an actor. He just resonated with everybody and said freedom and this and that. You're just like, wow, he's a great guy. But you know, with Ronald Reagan, and I did like Reagan, and I need to get more into his history. I keep telling people he was a former governor and he was a Democrat. So we're at a point now where we have a, you know, President Trump, former Democrat, former independent, became a Republican. We have to start studying and how they message to people. And to me, even former President Barack Obama, and how they message to people. If we can really get that down packed, then we can message to people at a level where everybody can say, wow, we know how you feel. You're not talking down on us. You're not degrading us. You're not telling us to get off a plantation and everything else. Not one time they ever said that. You talk about, you know, emotions and, hey, I know how you feel because I personally grew up in a single parent home. Oh, you did too? Oh, me too. Oh yeah, my family was in the military. Oh, me too. And you start those conversations. Not, well, you just need to get off the plantation. It's like, I don't live on the plantation, and so I own my own home.
yeah,
I have a nice car. And those talking points really need to stop, if especially if you want to reach the Black community. Same thing with the Hispanic and Latino community. You have to learn how to say, hey, you know, we know how you feel. You guys struggle. You came over here. You want a better opportunities. Let's work together. Oh wow, you go to Catholic Church, St. John's down there. Oh, me too. Oh wow, we're both Catholic. Let's start talking about Christian principles and pro-life and things like that, and small business ownership. If you just start having those conversations without the rhetoric, we can win a lot of people, and you can win a lot of independents. And the number big issue that I have is the evangelicals, the Christians who just sit there at home and don't vote. You have to get out
yeah.
there and vote. Part of the problem was, I guarantee you, if every Christian voted on those principles, we would have won the election. Because I know Craig Huey talks about it, said a lot of Christians don't get out and vote. I know that's my telephone ringing. I'm sorry. But yeah, my mom got it. And that's where we got to get involved with the churches. You got to say, hey, I know Pastor Jack Hibbs and Pastor Greg Laurie, they're very influential in my district. And especially Pastor Jack Hibbs, he's very political, but he does it, you know, he starts talking about, said, this is why you need to vote in this way, because if you don't vote, we won't be able to have a church. I mean, California, we shut down churches. So
Yeah,
that didn't push you to go vote for a Republican. I don't know what to tell you. It's like
yeah.
it's like they shut down our churches. Oh well, I just pray about it. You can pray all day. I pray all day, but I go out there and work, and I get on my soapbox and I go on. Said they shut down churches, but you got the strip clubs open, you got this club open, you got that open, but you shut
Now,
down a
how
church.
bad is that? You got the strip clubs open. You got get your booty to the pole open, but you can't be in church.
You can't
For
be
Jesus.
in church. And then they started having outside services. Oh no, you can't do that either. And it's like, what do you do? So if
Oh,
that,
not even just that. They had people getting yanked out of their cars.
mhm.
Sitting, so not even just an outside service in open air,
You can't
sitting
even
in
have church in the parking lot.
with, yeah, in your parking lot, in your own car, with your own air conditioning, with your own family unit, getting yanked out of your own car. I'm like,
But those same people, you have
we've
to
been
ask them,
telling y'all.
you have to ask them, you really think so? Why aren't you voting? Well,
Yeah,
I just pray on it. Okay, but they're telling us we can't
Prayer
even go to
without
church.
action does nothing.
Not it's in scripture. It's in
Yeah.
scripture. Well,
Yeah.
let's revote the Democrat in. Maybe he'll be different or she did. No, no, no. Why
When
would
you
they be
watch the
different?
primary and they're trying to out left each other, that's not going to get you what you want. When
No.
the primary looks like I can go further left than you can, free ice cream for everybody. And then the guy comes back with free ice cream, free hot fudge sundaes for everybody. It's like,
Now,
okay, so now we're in Disneyland. No,
right.
we're not even talking real policy at this point. We're
Now
just
I
going to
got free
promise
ice
the
cream, cotton candy. And it's like, really?
yep, once free ice cream's on. Andrew Wilkow says this all the time. Once free ice cream's on table, that's all people are going to want is free ice cream.
Correct.
And I keep saying, as conservatives, our message is our principles. Damn near everybody in the country, when you describe what limited government, the reason they don't believe us when we say limited government is because we say limited government and then we're completely fine with shit like the Patriot Act. We're
Correct.
completely fine with shit like, oh, well, friggin', we're going to lock them up in mandatory minimums and shit like that. You can't say limited government and then be like, yeah, I'm okay with the drug war. I'm okay with arresting a friggin' prostitutes and shit like that. Not the pimp, but
But the
prostitutes themselves.
prostitute.
Yeah. You're okay with stopping gambling and stuff. It's not your job to make friggin' to tell this dude he can't drink. It's not your job to tell this guy he can't smoke. It's not your job to tell this guy he can't gamble away his life savings. It's not your job to tell this woman she can't sleep with this man, or this dude he can't marry this dude, or you can't smoke this, or we don't like this and we don't like that, or we think that's immoral. That's not your fucking job.
So do
If
you
we
think
stick
we should
to our
start
damn jobs, we'd be fine. But
so do you
we
so do
burn
you
it. We picked the wrong hill to die on.
so do you think we should start embracing and reaching out to our libertarians?
Yes. Yes. Maj Toure actually said it in one of his previous interviews. He is pragmatic about the fact that while he is a libertarian, we do not live in a libertarian world. The fact is we don't. The people around us are not libertarian.
No,
The majority of the world is not libertarian. I
no.
mean, if we operated a little bit more libertarian, which, to be completely honest, I'm going to piss some people off. Libertarians are closest to the Constitution.
No, you are actually correct.
Yeah, they're
I
very
know
close to
some
the
great
Constitution.
when I
I mean,
retook
they
my
get a little
no, they are.
crazy when
They,
it comes to their isolationism and the
eh,
um
but
their
no, you're
immigration, their like no borders immigration stuff, and I
but no, when it
understand
comes to
that
constitution,
comes from the left,
they
but
they are actually conservative.
strict
They're very strict.
yeah.
Look at Rand Paul, him and his dad.
Yeah.
I mean, if you even go back to Ron Paul's
Rand Paul
earlier
could be my
videos,
VP.
if you go back to even his dad, where he started talking about the IRS and the taxes, you go on YouTube and people thought he was crazy. And I said, no, this guy, he's telling the truth.
He's got it. He's got it.
Actually, he would have
On
been a great
every
president.
social Yeah, on every social issue, he's on the right side of it. He's like, I don't care.
I don't care what you do.
That is the right answer for conservatives. If you
I
are
don't
truly conservative, then your answer towards somebody living their life the way they want to is, I don't care.
But here's the problem with
It doesn't affect my family, and it doesn't affect my ability to pursue happiness.
But here's my issue with a lot of conservatives. It's like you have the different factions within the conservative party, because you do have the libertarians who say, why do you even care? How is it bothering you? Even though we promote individualism.
Yep.
And then you have those staunch conservatives, or like the I call them the hardcore evangelicals, and it's like, okay, I get it. I'm a Christian too,
They want to legislate social conservatism, social
and
cultural conservatism.
then you have, you know, the people who, the moderates, who are saying, well, we're trying to have a balance here. And even if you're a moderate conservative or a moderate Republican, you're called a rhino. And that's where a lot
Yeah,
of Republicans really need to stop using that term, because it's getting outplayed and outdone. If I disagree with you on something, it doesn't make me I'm a rhino. I'm an individual. I still
yeah.
follow the principles of the party and the conservative part. And some things I do lean a little bit libertarian, because I like free
I
market. I
will.
like all of these things. But stop calling us rhinos if we disagree with you.
I like this. Let's get into this because I love defining terms. One of the greatest lessons I took from one of my professors in college is define your terms before you have a discussion. All right.
Mm-hmm.
So I define a rhino as a individual that identifies, which is the shallow marker, the whatever flag they're going to throw up in their political thuggery. They identify as a Republican, but every solution they have is liberal.
Okay. Yeah.
So every solution they have is statist. It's governmental, it's big government, it's more taxes, it's more interference, it's more power and authority. It is not focused on giving more power and authority back to the people.
Correct.
So I consider that to be a rhino. I consider a rhino to be a person who always acts in their own interest and not in the interest of the people that they're representing.
I agree.
So cronyism on one end, grifters on the other, and the people that all in between that claim the banner but do the exact opposite. So that would include your cronies like Mitch McConnell, your establishment
Mitt Romney.
Democrats, but they ran as Republicans like McCain and Mitt Romney.
Right.
And then you have your grifters like Candace Owens on the other end, who are just here because it's profitable for the moment. Those people I consider to be rhinos. The people who I don't consider to be rhinos are people who may disagree on a single point.
Correct.
Like, I will not blame a Republican for wanting to impeach Donald Trump. I won't, and that's not for any other reason than, well, I'll caveat that.
So let me ask you
If
this.
they're doing it for their own political benefit because they just hate the man, then yes, you violated principle because you hate an individual. Then on that I disagree with you. But if you did it because you honestly believe that he incited an insurrection, then I can't change your mind on what you honestly emphatically believe. That's like you can't change the mind of a Marxist.
So let me ask you this. So what is your opinion on what's going on with Liz Cheney?
Liz Cheney, I'd say, would be about 60%, 70% conservative. She's a statist.
She is the daughter of Dick Cheney, so you got to understand that family history.
Yeah, she is an establishment type. She is a statist. She is a big government, foreign wars, more government spending, budget busting, manipulating the language so that it sounds like we're being conservative even when we're not. I consider her to be a Mitch McConnell type establishment figure. She will occasionally do the right thing. She'll do just enough to justify re-election, and the rest of the time she'll do whatever the hell she wants because she lives in a safe red district. I'm hoping it's not safe anymore because I'm hoping Scott Presler will get her out. But Liz Cheney, what most people define as conservative, Liz Cheney, they define Mitch McConnell, Liz Cheney, Lindsey Graham as these, and Kevin McCarthy as these perennial conservatives. They go, oh, that is conservatism. No, it's not. It's cronyism. It's actually the perfect example of everything that you label the Republican Party as. Everything you despise about the Republican Party came from these cronies that have run the party for decades. Like, you don't get that from the populism. You don't get that from the grassroots movements. We don't want foreign wars. We don't want our brothers and sisters dying overseas.
But sometimes these grassroots movements, I'm not speaking for all of them, but some of them turn into cults.
I'm going to say it. I'm going to say it. You don't have to say it, but I'll say it. Marjorie Taylor Greene. Marjorie Taylor Greene. We got our own AOC now.
I'm pleading the fifth. I'm not even circling back. I'm going. I know, but that I just bringing up the point so everybody can understand.
I'll say it because she makes the same sorts of comments. She does the same sort of live stream, social media, the whole 9 yards. It's almost like she copied AOC's entire playbook. She's stricken up equally weird and out there positions. She might be a completely nice lady. And I'll completely admit, when some of these conspiracies pop up, I do my research. My whole thing is research. I don't discredit anything before I actually look into it. So I look into conspiracy theories. I may even post a video about it online. And then when I find out that it's false, I'm like, yeah, it seems like bull. And then I leave it there. She didn't. And I don't think she needs to be removed from committee assignments.
That's a bad precedent.
It does. And I'd say the same thing with Liz Cheney. I don't think that we should be removing her from her position. I don't think other congressmen should be making that decision. I think the voters in her district should be making that decision.
Well, same thing with Eric Swalwell. I mean, Eric Swalwell was with a Chinese spy. He hasn't got removed or disbanded or told, okay, you have to get out of Congress. You literally were with a spy.
Now that is something I actually think warrants removal.
Yes.
You are compromised by a damn spy.
A spy.
Yeah.
I mean, part of my background when I was in the military as a personnel security manager, so we did all the background checks. I said, not one person in Congress could pass a regular DOD background check. Not one. I don't think they can even get a favorable clearance. And I had a top secret clearance. I had a top secret clearance, and we had to do it every 5 years.
I highly doubt most of these people could pass a clearance without somebody shoving it through just because they're a congressman.
Correct. It wouldn't be fair.
I guarantee.
Yeah.
People, look up the rap sheets of Congress. Look up the rap sheets of Congress. Mm-hmm. There was a meme that circulated, before memes really became memes, and it was a list of all the different felonies and misdemeanors and crimes and shit that were in Congress. And it was like, so which organization do you think these came from? Mm-hmm. The NFL? The NBA? And you're saying like, oh man, yeah, a bunch of.
But you and I both served
from the NBA, or maybe it came from the NFL, and then you look at it and goes, no, these are the 535 members of Congress, and you're like, oh, some of them were conspiracy to commit like murder and shit like that, or covering up murder. Friggin' what's his name, Ted Kennedy.
That's a whole nother show. But you and I both served.
Stuff that the media will cover up.
But you and I both
and that's
served.
On both sides of the aisle.
We know that Eric Swalwell, you shouldn't be on the intelligence committee. If that was me, I will be in Leavenworth. Everything will be gone. I will be in federal prison. Same thing.
There are
Okay.
people
And
sitting in Leavenworth right now for exactly what
or
Hillary
less.
did.
Or less.
Yeah, so right before the whole Hillary Clinton email scandal, right
Oh,
before
don't
she
get me
tripped
started.
and
Do not
yeah,
get me started.
right before
I,
she tripped and fell and drill bitted and bleach bitted a friggin' hard drive, and oops, I accidentally erased it at the same time, and
and
like
had classified email on your personal laptop. And I was in
yeah,
IT. And I said, wait a
explain to
minute.
these people intent is not a part of that equation.
Nope.
The the DOD does not give a shit about intent. There are Marines right during all that, right before all that, that actually got hit. And if I remember correctly, they were officers, had their officers get given their own classified work laptops. They took it
Ye-
home with them, and
Yes.
when they had it in the trunk of their car got broken into, and the
Right.
laptop got. Both of those dudes went to prison. Both
Yep.
of them went to the brig. They're in federal prison
Yep.
because they were negligent with classified material.
I've
Negligent
seen it.
is
I've
enough
heard
by
it.
itself.
I've seen it. I heard it. And here I am in IT during this time. And it's still a security manager. And I'm like, did I miss something? Did I miss a meeting? Did I miss an email that I can have a classified server in my bathroom? So I went to my commander and he said, don't even go there. Don't even. I said, he said, can I have a server in my bathroom, sir? He said, get out my office. I don't want to hear. Because we were all, we were all sitting there like, she did what?
I
And I'm
have
sitting, I had to
I
go
have
through
yet to meet a
regulations.
military member that can honestly, and I mean like honestly, sit there and explain it and be like, no, no, that was completely okay.
No, no. And you know who did a great job?
ASVAB waiver to be able to make that argument.
You know who did a great job arguing that, and he put all the regulations up there, Hannity. And I said, there you go. He put up every DOD regulation up there, everything that she violated. And he says, still, she is just walking around.
Mm-hmm. That
Her,
was
what
the
was,
first failure. That was the first failure of the Trump administration.
mm-hmm.
And I've said this from day one, that alone would have got him across the board respect. There is not a person out there that doesn't recognize Hillary Clinton's crookedness. That across the board would have been like, and do you really think that DC would have leaked all that shit on him if he was locking up people for leaking shit? Like, that would have set the tone for his whole damn presidency. He probably would have had less enemies within his own damn camp. They'd been like,
They said
it's
there's,
a good time to retire right now because
the,
he just locked
he
up.
ain't playing. He locked up Hillary.
Yeah, he that's one of the first things he should have done. Has been like, all right, cool,
And he
special
said that. He said in the debate, he said, you will be locked up. But I'm like, dude, just do it.
first promise broke, first promise broken right there.
Just and I know some people's like, well, he can't really. I said, yes, you can, because she was a federal employee
Mm-hmm.
and she put so many people at risk. And
Yeah.
you have federal employees getting their security clearances stripped because I was the person that was stripping you
Last
and
time
losing their
she
jobs.
directly, she last time I checked, she was Secretary of State.
Mm,
She's Secretary of State, so she falls directly under President of the United States. Her investigation would be directly. It wouldn't even be an FBI investigation. It'd be directly William Barr.
military. It could be military.
Yeah, it'd be military handling that shit. She's a diplomat.
Yep.
Diplomats are handled by military.
But the thing is, I got to get off pretty soon because my dogs, I can hear them. They're hungry and I'm hungry. But I got to come back on soon. But, I think we're at a great start. And hopefully we can get more, maybe Jeff to come on the next one. We could all do a three.
Jeff is actually going to be on tomorrow.
Oh, great. I'll be on listening. I'll get in
Yeah,
the chat
to the
box.
mountains for the weekend because my wife was like, the wifey was like, "You're going to be down in Florida for like 2 or 3 weeks out of the weekends. Out of
Wow.
the month. We're going up to the mountains."
Okay.
And she's like, "You're going down for the Frederick Douglass brunch, and you're going down for CPAC and stuff. We're going up to the mountains." I'm
There
like,
you go.
"Okay,
Yes,
okay,
you're going. You're going to the mountain.
happy life."
That's sweet.
That is a fact. That is definitely a lesson to live by. But honestly, I'm like I said before, I'm still optimistic for this next round. I
I
think
am too.
if we can get the right voices elevated, and that
Correct.
CPAC has to stop screwing around. I'm hoping. I haven't seen it yet. I've been looking at the announcements from CPAC of who they're going to have on stage as speakers, and I have yet to see a Charlie Kirk or Candace Owens.
Oh, I haven't looked.
I'm, I'm really hoping that they don't have them on stage because um, I think that would be going backwards. Once again, we don't need to go backwards. I say the same thing with that whole the gay marriage issue. We don't need to be going backwards.
We need to go
Just stay at
forward.
that point. The original Republican Party was a conglomerate of people from completely different backgrounds that
Correct.
believed in limited government
Government.
interference in our lives. They believed in capitalism. They believed in the rights of the individual and the rights of people to be able to determine our own future.
Correct.
We have to be the most retarded party imaginable to fail at selling freedom.
Isn't it sad? You can't
How,
sell freedom.
how can we not sell freedom? I mean,
It's,
I know Harriet Tubman said she would have been able to free so many more if they had known that they were slaves. I say
right.
that now in regards to people who think that we are actually free. There's not a damn thing that the government does not regulate and does not tax. The government controls supply and demand of everything we have, and it taxes everything that we use and own.
I
So
mean,
I'm sitting here at this point going, are we really that far from socialism? Like,
I say we already are. I
they're
live in
like,
California. I
yeah,
said I live in socialism in California. We're creeping up to communism.
I say we're like 90% of the way there. The thing that they have yet to achieve is banning guns, universality of law.
California, we're getting there.
Yeah. They can't logistically ban guns. Like
No, but they're trying.
they're trying,
They
but
they tried to.
was it Association of Police Chiefs has said multiple times, they're like, look, y'all can stop with the gun confiscation. We physically cannot do it. We don't have the manpower. We don't have the resources. I can tell you right now, they don't even have the ammunition. I've seen the budgets of police departments crying because they can't afford ammunition to do training and shit. They don't got the ammunition to be able to go door to door. And all of their door to door urban combat and squad tactics are based on the military. That's an 85% casualty ratio that the military accepts. Good luck making a squad make it halfway down the block.
But you know what they did here in California? They limit how many bullets you can buy. That's the way they did it.
Yeah.
They
Well,
said you can't take your guns, but we're going to limit how much ammunition you can buy.
that ain't gonna work up here.
No, it's here.
No, I mean since the pandemic, I watched
yeah.
like one of my friends is a gun shop owner, and he said this is the worst he has ever seen it. He's like, dude, I've been through every gun scare that there has been. This is the worst it's ever been. He's like, ammo has gone up like 400%.
Yep.
You can't buy. He doesn't have a gun that hits the shelf and can collect dust before it's gone.
It's
Yeah,
gone.
he's like, He's like, I can't keep anything in stock. I can't. It's just ridiculous at this point. And you have so many people stocking up on ammo that it's like, even if you banned ammo sales today, there's enough ammo out there that it wouldn't freaking matter.
No.
And you can't even buy the supplies to reload your own damn ammo at this point. You can't even buy brass. So, like, everything. I'm not actually, of all the things, I'm not worried about, because it seems like throughout the pandemic, universally, everyone was like, yeah, everybody needs a gun. The only people that seem to disagree with us now are politicians. And I'm like,
even the Democrats, they were stocking up.
mm-hmm. Oh yeah. He's like, dude, it went from like normal gun guys that are in the shop every day, because the shop is kind of like a barber shop. We talk guns and politics and cultural issues, and it's like an episode of Cheers, or like an episode of, or like watching Barbershop. There's not a topic that's off limits.
That's cool.
And then, but at the same time, you have people that come in that are normal gun buyers, and we go in and buy a box of ammo every time we're in there. We buy a gun every time we're in there. And then you had collectors that are like, all right, I might need something a little bit more modern. My Brown Bess is not going to do it. And then you get like, well, I support the Second Amendment, but I never actually bought a gun. And you get, oh, well, I never saw the use of guns until now. And you get, I hated guns until right this second because this guy's a fascist. And then you get like blue-haired, non-binary Venetian Martians from Jupiter walking in, and they're like, I need a laser beam because shit's going to hell. And I'm like,
whoa.
Too bad, we're sold out. We sold out last March.
We sold out on laser beams, dude.
Yeah. I mean, you see people walking in asking for weird shit, and it's like, well, can I just give you extra money to avoid the background check? No, that's illegal. That's a felony. Go away.
Go away.
Say another word, and I'll call the cops. So you get all sorts of people throughout the pandemic have asked the most weird and odd questions, and out of all the issues I'm not worried about, Second Amendment is the one. Because like people are actually taking it seriously. That's the last stand. As far as everything else, I don't want to get to that point. So I'm like, everything else.
I hear you. I hear you. I mean, when it first started last year, I mean, just to find toilet paper, I said, "Is this The Walking Dead? Is this the beginning of The Walking Dead? I can't even find toilet paper." And everybody's fighting at Costco, and we're stocking up. We're going to like 10 different grocery stores just to find carrots or something, canned food. And I said, oh great, I need to rewatch The Walking Dead and get a sword to be like Michonne or somebody, or Rick, or it's like, but it really woke everybody up.
That is my next buy, is a sword. They make a K-bar sword. They make a K-bar sword.
See, we can't have that here.
I am actually, that is one of the things I'm going to buy. Actually, no, you can have it as long as it doesn't actually have a functioning blade on it. It cannot come from the factory with an actual blade on it.
So it just sit in my house looking nice till I get the door knocked.
You have to grind it down.
Oh, wow.
You have to put a blade on it yourself. You can get the dull collector swords and stuff like that.
Oh, great. Great. I'll be dead.
The dull ones. You just can't get the ones with the actual blades on it. So
I'll be dead.
There actually is a guy out there that actually puts blades on swords.
Cool.
I won't divulge his names over
Please don't.
The internet, but
please don't.
But there is a guy out there that does that stuff. I mean, it's for collectors' purposes and stuff.
Right. I mean, we have those stores here, you know, the collectors, and make it look cool if you like that medieval stuff. But you know, let me know. I'll come back on, and maybe we'll bring on Jeff. We'll have a real deep three discussion.
Oh yeah, we can get real deep into the principles of conservatism, because
I think we should.
Yeah, I think the conservative movement definitely needs to to understand the difference between social and cultural conservatism and conservative governance, because we definitely mix the two. And
But part of it
two,
too is the lack of education. Like you said, you had a lot of people that turned red because they got red pilled and have no clue what this party is.
no, they think they're literally like, oh, okay, so into wars, low taxes, and legal immigration, like getting rid of illegal immigration. That sounds good. And I'm like,
But I'm talking about the
even
people
scratching the surface.
who got so-called red pilled in 2016, and it's like
Oh yeah,
you took this way. You don't even understand the party. You don't even know the party history.
yeah. They're not conservative. They're red. They're red pill. They're baby conservatives. That's one of the
Correct.
issues that I think hurt us this entire election. Like,
It
you have a
did.
whole bunch of people that feel like they're on this side, and I'm going to use that term. Facts don't care about your feelings. And yeah, a whole bunch of people that feel like they're on the side, but they don't know why it works. They can't make the argument. They don't understand it. So they often end up advocating for stuff that is not conservative or
Correct.
doesn't fit within the principles. And then we end up getting to this whole, let's legislate our own brand of morality.
Let's legislate happiness.
Yeah,
Let's
let's
legislate.
legislate happiness, and we're going to pretend that we're any different than the Democrats trying to legislate happiness.
And they can't. They can't even let. They can't even get a lemonade stand together, and it's really sad. I even told somebody that I said we can't even organize a lemonade stand because we can't be on the same page on how to make lemonade.
Our most powerful voices are the ones that are honestly continuously sniped. And they're sniped by the people that run the party. Like, I guarantee half the people, I know there are liberals that occasionally watch show. Listen to SiriusXM channel 125 during the week, not just Sonny Johnson on the weekends. Listen during the week. You will see a completely different brand of conservatism than what you hear on Fox News.
Of course.
A lot of us don't agree with Fox News. They sound really freaking corporate establishment to us.
Well, they are corporate establishment. They sold out. They sold out a long time ago.
Yeah. Personally, I operate on the whole idea of, you know what, I'm going to go to Congress. I'm going to go to Congress with the idea of getting shit done. If I can't get shit done and people are trying to force me to compromise myself, I will either retain my office because I fight against said corruption, or I will take my shit and happily go home and go live a normal fucking life, because
That's what some people did.
that's what we're supposed to do. We're supposed to be citizen politicians.
That's it.
Citizen representatives. We're not supposed to be career politicians.
20, 30 years. I mean, you know, it really, term limits really need to be set. They,
Yeah.
they really do. I mean, you know, it's not because of the Democrats, it's both. It's like you've been up there for 20, 30 years.
Yeah. You're not in touch with the rest of the country if you've been in Washington for 30 years. There's not a chance in hell. So, and that is at the point, there's a point, I'll say 4 terms, or 16 years. I'll say 16 years. 16
Yeah.
years, I will say, is that perfect threshold of you're not
done.
in touch with the voter at all.
You're done.
At all. Like, personally, I think everybody should be gone after 12 years.
I think that's a fair, because
That's
you know,
that's my movement.
Even with the
Hashtag
Senate,
no clout, 12 and out.
12. I think that's a fair, because you serve in the Senate for 6 years, so 2 terms in the Senate, and then as for congressional rep, 12 years. You're done. Everybody gets 12
Yep.
years. If the president has a term limit, then you need to have a term limit.
Yep. Hashtag no clout, 12 and out. If you serve 12 years, I don't care whether it's split between the House or Senate, you're out of there.
Yeah.
It doesn't need to be any more complicated than that. 12 years in total in Congress. Because at that point,
both
you're no
houses.
longer, yeah, both houses. You're at that point, you're no longer useful to society at large as a politician. You either didn't accomplish what you went there to accomplish, or you've been there long enough to where you've entrenched yourself and you're no longer accountable to the people.
You got
unless extraneous circumstances. So I'm all for it. Like I will give Ted Cruz. I know he does it because there's never going to be repercussions for doing it because he's not actually going to. It's never going to pass. But he keeps proposing term limits. I'll give him props for proposing it, even though I know he knows.
I've heard it since he's been in office and never saw it.
Yeah, he proposed it 3 times now.
Mm-hmm.
3 times now. I think each time it's had about 8 or 9 votes.
That's it.
8 or 9 out of 535 people.
That's sad.
That is sad. Especially because that's one of those issues that like 90% of the population agrees on.
Both sides.
Yeah. The overwhelming majority of the population agrees on reforming the entire immigration system. The overwhelming majority agrees on term limits.
Yeah.
The overwhelming majority agrees on limiting foreign aid.
Mm-hmm.
Like when you start to go down the list, when you start to look at like vast majority agreements on issues, you're like, damn. So the problem isn't us. The problem is them.
It's the representatives.
Yeah. I swear. Let me speak at CPAC. I'm going to be the asshole that says it all. And then I will most likely never be invited back.
Well, I'm going to pray I'm be able to go, but I'm going to see how much, the dates for the Frederick Douglass event. If I just got to go for that and come back home, I'll be happy.
Yeah, it's the 19th is the meet and greet. That's the night before at 6 p.m. Okay. And then the event is at 10 a.m. in the morning, and I think it goes all day until I think about 4 p.m.
Okay. Maybe I could just do that and just get a hotel room and just go to that event.
Or you know what? It might be 10 to 2, but it's like brunch, couple speakers and stuff like that. As long as there's coffee, I'm good.
That's fine. Coffee and I call it jet fuel. I drink jet fuel.
Yeah, black coffee all the way.
Yeah,
and
jet fuel.
And I'll have my flask on hand too.
Oh, I'm sitting next to you. Like, pass it. All right. Well, let me know, and I'll be listening tomorrow with you and Jeff. And then I said we got to get on all together to have more discussion.
I want to do a big Zoom, and I would like that. I want to do a big one, and I'd like to do it for Black History Month. Oh,
let's do it. Come on, let's do it.
I'd like to. I mean, all of us freestyling, playing off of each other and stuff, because I think we did it for Black History Month. I think we could change the entire conversation. I know there are a lot of big movers and shakers, especially in Black liberal media, that follow a lot of us. And I know there are a lot of people in the entertainment sector in the Black community that follow us. And I think if we really sat down and we went over some issues where we're not, because I think a lot of the liberals that follow us, they got used to us going at conservatives for so damn long that when we started to go after Democrats, they were like, oh, you're back on their team again. Like, dude, we were never not on the conservative side. We just see flaws in both sides, and we see we're more focused on solutions than we are the red and blue dynamic. Like,
but you know what I tell people? I'm an equal opportunist. If I see something wrong in my own house, I'm going to say something
Yeah. That's what my mom said. You take care of your own house before you try to help
first.
others with theirs.
Hmm.
And that's my whole thing with America First. You make sure your own dinner table is set before you invite people over for dinner. And it should be no more complicated than that.
You got your house clean, you got the bathroom clean, everybody clean, you got some new clothes on, you got your hair done, you wash your face, you brush your teeth. Okay.
Yeah. And I say that to white conservatives. Understand the reason why you never hear black people talk about Chicago and talk about issues within our own community is because we don't air our dirty laundry out in front of other people. We do that for a reason. It's a cultural thing. Y'all used to do it too.
But
We don't
they
air dirty
air it out
laundry out.
everywhere, in the grocery store, everything. It's like, no, we talk about things at home.
Yeah, y'all got Karens to air out your dirty laundry in front of the whole damn village. We don't do that shit. We don't do that shit. We keep that shit at home, and that's where it belongs. You take care of your dirty laundry in house.
Yes, you do. And let
And you
us
know
hash it
what?
out. And please don't intervene. Let us talk about it.
Yeah, I don't need Charlie Kirk and the random individuals to come in like a white knight on a horse and act like they're saving us from our own issues. We can solve our own issues. What I really need is for you guys to tear down the barriers that have been created through 100 years of systemic racism.
Hmm.
Or you know what? I'm going to say 100 years of systemic Marxism masquerading as systemic racism
I
under the
like that.
veil of progressivism.
I like that.
Yep. 100 years of
Oh,
systemic Marxism masquerading as systemic racism, or I'm sorry. Yeah, 100 years of systemic Marxism masquerading under the veil of progressivism, which is really systemic racism.
I like that. You need to write that down and send it to me.
Will do.
We'll
And we need
we'll
to.
post that.
Oh yeah, I'll post that. I'll post that right when we
Post
get
that
off
up.
here.
Post that.
We need to.
I'm really gonna get on that one. I like how you put that.
Yep. I can't remember. I think I posted on Facebook. I posted on a. I post. Yep. I posted on the New Hampshire GOP page right before I started slaughtering conservatives. I posted 100 years of. Oh, that's what it was. 100 years of systemic racism, which is really systemic Marxism masquerading as 100 years of progressivism. And they were like systemic racism, oh, Marxism, oh, progressivism. Oh, I drew them in with the first part, and then I it was good. It was good. It was a good learning experience. It
We
took
need to
like
bring you
4
back out
months
to
for that to
California,
get it.
man. You and your family, you guys need to come out to California.
I love Temecula wine country. We were supposed to be out there like 3 times this year. We had trips planned, and then the state locked down, and we had to cancel it because
Right.
obviously my in-laws are older. So yeah, but they actually live in right in Fallbrook. They have an
Oh,
avocado.
beautiful.
Yep,
Wow.
that's where my wife is
It's only
from. She's
30,
from
it's
Fallbrook.
only 30 minutes, 35 minutes away from me.
Yep, I used to live in Temecula, right off Rancho, or no, Via Las Colinas.
Okay.
Via Las Colinas. I love that area. It's beautiful,
I
beautiful. The
said
only thing I
I love
don't
it
like,
down there.
yeah, one of the things I hate about California, besides the politics, is the Starbucks on every corner. I hate Starbucks.
I rarely
I
go
want to
there.
be talked down to while getting an overpriced coffee. I could go to any other coffee house on the planet.
I go to McDonald's. I just go to seven. I just go to the Stater Brothers and make my own coffee. It's the same.
I miss Dunkin'. Like, I'll admit, I'm a coffee snob. I just don't like being talked down to while I get my coffee. Like, I'll spend a lot of money on fucking fantastic coffee.
But
We
I
spent like
remember when
$200
I
when we
first.
got back from overseas on a coffee maker, like a really great one for the barracks room. And then we would go and pick out gourmet coffee beans and just by sense of smell, pick out like 5 or 6 different coffee beans and we blend them all together into like the perfect blend. The whole battalion, like the command, the sergeant major, colonel, my first sergeant, my master sergeant, my gunny all used to show up at my room and get coffee in the morning. They'd be like,
Okay.
you got a pot ready? I'm like, yep, yeah, I got a pot ready. They're like, okay. We got a new first sergeant showed up in the unit. He's like, what the fuck is going on here? Why the hell is the colonel in your room? You're not staring at attention. I'm like, Colonel's drinking my coffee.
Drinking my coffee.
This is my coffee. Colonel would be cut off if he puts me at attention in my own damn room.
Right?
But we spent good money on coffee. So I'm
We
a
did
coffee
too.
snob. I just don't like the barista Becky's friggin' being rude and snobby to me because I like to drink my coffee black.
Me too. Every time I go there, I say I want a large black. They're like, what? A
You can
large?
taste the coffee bean though. You could taste it so much better. You could actually taste. I can taste the difference of like where coffee beans come from when you drink black coffee. You can't do that when you layer it up with cream and caramel and foam
And
and all
and
that
it makes
crazy.
you. It is too much sugar. It's too.
Yeah,
It's too much. You take the away coffee. You might as well just drink a smoothie, or get some ice cream and have a sundae.
you lose all the health benefits of it. Coffee is good for
Mhm.
your heart. It's good for your blood circulation. A whole bunch of things.
It's a good diuretic and everything else.
Yeah, when you start to throw in all that other crap, you ruin it.
You
You ruin
defeat
it.
the
It doesn't have the
purpose.
same health benefits. So, but I will have you on again, most definitely.
Please.
I love these conversations
I
because
do too.
we
But we have to get us three, me, you, and Jeff, so we can get into conservatism even deeper.
you know what? I am perfectly down. I will talk to Jeff and see if we can make that happen. If we can make it happen within the next couple of weeks, because leading up to CPAC, I want these conversations. I'm going to start emailing them to people, and I want them to be fresh on people's mind.
Right.
Now that guy sent me a message from CPAC, I'm going to send him these conversations because
Please do.
I want them to understand, want them to see we can deliver actual change, we can deliver actual votes, but it requires ditching every unproductive talking point. If a talking point's not meant to win somebody over, it's unproductive.
I like that unproductive talking points.
Yeah. If it's not based on fostering understanding, it's a counterproductive talking
Correct.
point. It doesn't win anybody. It doesn't help us. It only thwarts us, and it makes it really. And it's also really easy to counter. So,
Hmm. Well,
but
let me head
thank
off.
you for
Dinner
coming
is
on once
dinner
again.
about to have some ribs.
Well, my son, I was trying when I was setting everything up. I walked in to cook, and my
Oh,
son was supposed to be stirring the rice, and he let it burn. So, I'm gonna have to try this recipe again. I was making red Japanese red curry.
oh, okay.
Yep, Japanese red curry with coconut rice. So
That sounds good.
it is very, very good.
Take
It's a
a
little
picture.
different.
Take a picture and send it. That sounds good.
Well, when I get it right, because I'm gonna try it again. When I get it right, because I haven't cooked it in about 7 years. So when I get it right, I'll send you guys. I'll post a picture for you guys.
Please.
I
That
love to
sounds
cook.
really good.
Yep,
I'm about to
it
have
is
a
fantastic.
I'm about to have ribs, asparagus, and salad. I'm trying to cut down on carbs. I got to cut down on the carbs and the sugar. COVID. Whew, I just re-signed up for the gym, and I said I got to get back because
I
that
started
COVID weight.
boxing again. I started boxing again. I put up my heavy bag. I got my speed bag downstairs. I got my dumbbells and stuff. Because I used to feel great when I was boxing, when I was in shape and stuff. And now,
I
now
did too.
I feel fat and I feel old. So,
Welcome
but
to the club.
curry recipes, to my knowledge, there's not a culture on the planet that doesn't have a form of curry.
I love curry.
Like our American curry is technically jambalaya or gumbo.
That's my family. My grandma's Creole.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
So
We have our own
yeah.
American curry. So
Mm-hmm.
I like
I make good jambalaya.
yeah. I like Caribbean curry too. I like the pineapples and the mangoes and the spice.
Yeah. I've had that.
It's so
I've had that. It's really good.
It's
Okay, now
actually
I'm hungry.
Yeah, now I'm hungry. So we're gonna have to go. Thank you everybody for tuning in. Episode 21 of Blue Collar Intellectual Podcast. Again, check out Asia Smith on Twitter, at Asia Smith for Congress. Check out her campaign. We're really going to make moves in this.
Yes,
this
we
next
have to make a lot of moves before anybody runs. We have to get down messaging. We have to get down how we're going to outreach better. We're going to do it.
Yeah, I'm meeting with my co-candidate on Monday.
Okay.
The senatorial candidate up here, and he's a general, Don Baldock, and we're gonna see what we can do up here and try to get so that we're helping each other out and we're not working in a contradictory fashion against each other.
Okay.
Hopefully we can make some serious changes in DC.
Perfect. Keep me in the loop too.
Will do.
All right. You guys take care. God bless. Be safe.
Thank you for tuning in. This is episode 21 of Blue Collar Intellectual Podcast. I'm going to leave you guys with some going out music. Have a good night.
And what kind of player am I? Am I an offensive man or a defensive man? That's right, I'm neither. I play my opponent. If he likes to attack, I force him to defend himself. If he's a cautious man, I draw him into dangerous water. See, you get so frustrated playing defensive positions, you make stupid moves you never make if you were thinking. When you come here, boy, check that shit at the door.
I'm at the top of my game, cut the check. Somebody better king me, I'm the best. Let's play a game.